Mhm.
What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? That you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Scott. The sound's off, Scott.
We come from the same source, a powerful love force. We come together, are invited. We come from the same source, a powerful love force.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Awakening World, our Saturday night edition. I'm Love Coach Scott Thomas. I'm your host, and I'm really excited. We've got 5 couples that I have tremendous respect for, who are going to be talking about what it's like to be in a partnership of a spiritual nature, of a conscious nature, even seeking enlightenment. That's a strong word. So I recognize, I think we're all hopefully achieving semi-enlightenment, actually. I'll settle for that in my lifetime. But welcome. I see a lot of our friends that are here in the Zoom room. Let us know where you are geographically. I see already we've got people from Ecuador, California, British Columbia, Arizona, New York, Sacramento, Brazil. So that's fun. So welcome. Let us know where you are. I also want to welcome all the people who are watching on Facebook. We've go out over 100 different Facebook groups and pages, sometimes as many as 130 through the Sign Network, John and Summer Raymer, who might actually stop by tonight. So if you're watching on our YouTube channel or on Ellen Steinfeld's YouTube channel or on Facebook, that's great. But you know what? Come on in. Come join the Global Peace Tribe. It's really easy to do that. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com or globalpeacetribe.com. And that's where you can learn all about who we are and what we do. There's Pato and Antoinette, who you're going to see later on in the show. Once you're at globalpeacetribe.com, just click register for the new season, and that'll take you to our registration page. And now we have a special that if you register tonight, you will get the links to all of our shows for the next 4 months, all the way through June 30th. You know, we do 3 shows a week, sometimes 4. And all the shows are inspiring, they're exciting, there's music, there's amazing guests. So for example, this week on Wednesday night, we did a wonderful show. And we ended up bringing on Sharif Abdullah, one of our favorite presenters, talking about leadership in this awakening world. Here's the show you're about to see tonight, which I'll describe in a moment. And then tomorrow, we are all about ascension, as we have several leaders in the ascension movement joining us. And that's our Sacred Sunday show, Sundays at 10 o'clock. On tonight's show, you're going to meet 5 different couples. One of those couples are my dear friends, Kamala Devi and Michael McClure. And they have been married for over 20 years. They have successfully raised a teenage son who's amazing, while also really having a very successful pair of careers that are very entrepreneurial, I might add. So I'm looking forward to hearing from Kamala Devi and Michael. And there's nothing like being a couple that creates music together. And there they are, Jamishka. And they're, of course, one of our favorite couples. They've been on the show several times. We're going to hear wonderful music from them and learn how they work together. And then Fanny and Vigari are back with us. And we love Fanny and Vigari. They are also one of our absolute favorite couples. And they're going to play 2 songs for us and also share a little bit about their partnership. And then Shri and Kira are coming to us all the way from Ecuador. They'll be joining us in about half an hour. And they are very popular spiritual teachers who are coming to Los Angeles to be part of the Global Peace Tribe retreat coming up at the end of March. We'll be talking more about that. And then coming to us live from Brazil will be our beloveds Pato and Antoinette. They are doing a concert in Brazil tonight. They're down there for Carnival, and then they're going to tune in. So you're going to hear from Pato and Antoinette. So it's pretty exciting, all the 5 couples that we've got. But not only do we have 5 amazing couples, but we have Christy Michaels as my co-host, and she's been doing Enlightened partnership programming for 13 years, inspired by her work with Barbara Marx Hubbard. We'll learn all about that. But let's go ahead and get started. He may be single, but I think he's in a relationship with his keyboard.
That's right.
There's different Enlightened partnerships, and I think he partners beautifully with his keyboard. Welcome, Omashar.
Namaste and aloha. And yes, I don't know if I'm single. I have a divine feminine and a divine masculine, and we're making friends as we speak. And so here's a little song called Precious One. And it could be Precious One, the beloved, or Precious One, your beloved. And so let's get into that.
And a reminder to our audience, move and groove to the music, and we'll pop you on camera.
Precious one, I love you more than I can say. You are the one that's here in my life all the time, shining your light through my day. Only you can take all of my troubles and cares. With your breath, you blow them away like the wind, clearing the storms of the day. This is the dawn of that bright and glorious day, when your love shines right through the heart of the world, melting what stands in the way. Precious one, I love you more than you can say. You are the one that's here in my life all the time, shining your light through my day. Only you can take all of my troubles and cares. With your breath, you blow them away like the wind, clearing the love you more than I can say. You are the one that's here in my life all the time, shining your light through my day. This is the dawn of that bright and glorious day, when your love shines right through the heart of our world, melting what stands in the way.
Sound will be
Surprise ending.
we always twinkle and thank them.
Beautiful. Remember to stay muted, everybody. Greetings, everybody. Let's all give some twinkling to Omshar, our absolute magnificent co-pilot on all of the Awakening World shows. Thank you. That was a perfect song.
Yeah,
Yes.
beautiful.
It was for tonight only.
Oh, thank you, brother. And a reminder, everybody, that we can support Omashar by getting his music at omashar.bandcamp.com. He's got 5 albums and a 6th one on its way. And that's a great way for us to support our beloved brother. Thank you, pal.
Thank you. See you.
Absolutely. So yeah, as you heard a little bit earlier, this was inspired. Christy Michaels is a longtime friend. She's been on the show a few times. And she's been doing Enlightened partner work for 13 years. So let's welcome Christy. She's my co-pilot for the show.
Yay.
Hey, Christy. So tell us a little bit about the history here of you and Enlightened Partnerships and how it all started with Barbara Marks Hubbard.
Yes, it did indeed. This is the 13th year, an annual event. We normally do it on 2/22, but thanks to you, Scott, you said, come on to the Awakening World. And oh my God, you brought some of the most wonderful global heart-centered couples. I mean, you folks, you are in for a treat. You've heard these people play music. You love what they do, but now you're going to get the inside story about how they feel for each other. And that's always so wonderful when we're talking to authentic people who are not afraid to be who they really are. So I'm very excited about this, and I'm just so indebted to you, Scott. Thank you so much for being such a marvelous sacred masculine in escorting this global expression of enlightened partnership. So I have, I'd like to share my screen because I wanted to lay out some of the ideas that Barbara and I, when I talked to her, she was the first person that really got me inspired on all of this. And I attended one of her workshops where she was bringing out this new book, The Birth 2012. And we got to talking about, well, how are we going to have conscious, enlightened, evolved relationships? And she said, well, if we really want them, we better get together with those people who are actually exploring the edge of what it actually takes to make an enlightened partnership work. And how are they doing? What's working for them? What's not working for them? And what kind of progress are they making? And let's have the deeper conversation about this, because that's the only way we're really going to grow into this. And then she also told me that, because I'm a teacher of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, that she actually loved the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and she embedded some of the ideas contained in that gospel in her book. So the 2 books that we're using to really explore this deeper conversation is the Gospel of Mary Magdalene and A Course in Miracles. And we're going to look at what they have to say about what is an enlightened partnership. And so first off, in looking at enlightened partnerships, I love this particular graph or chart because people think, well, what is an enlightened partnership? Really, it's a relationship that actually is what we call above the line. So it's in the realm of the 5D relationship. It's spacious. It's wholehearted. It's open-hearted. It's all about creating a higher consciousness in your relationship and your interaction. So there's acceptance. There's a heartfelt sense of love is what we're operating from. You personally feel like you're at cause because you've accepted that you're responsible for what you're creating in your life. So you're taking 100% responsibility. Well, when you take 100% responsibility for what you're creating in your life, then you're responding rather than reacting. And if there's an issue or something that comes up, you're looking for the results. You're solution based. What kind of action, what kind of feedback can I get? What clarity do I need? And then the abundance pours forth. So it's a whole nother thing. Whereas in the 3D romantic below the line relationships is judgmental. You feel like a victim sometimes. In fact, a lot of times those 3D relationships are based on the perpetrator and the victim and the rescuer and that whole dynamic. And the relationship is always a problem. And so you're always in fear. There's excuses, there's failures, you're feeling hopeless. You feel at the effect of your partner, and you feel like you just want to blame it, that it's the other person's problem. And so there's this coming from scarcity and lack. But in the Course in Miracles, they talk about considering the possibility of a holy relationship where it shifts the thing versus the special relationship that they call it in the 3D world. So what does the Gospel of Mary Magdalene actually have to say about it? Well, basically, it models enlightened partnership. It's a book that explains about the modeling. So there's a demonstration of sacred union that is sourced from love. It's where it's shared, not sought. It's 100% equal. And there's no lack of love, because when you give love from a wholehearted place, there's not like, oh, it dries up or there's only so much. You can just keep expending it. And because you're coming from sharing, not like, oh, I came on this call, I wanted to get my beloved, I'm hoping he's going to be here, and how am I going to get love? It's like a grabbing and a neediness and everything. None of that dynamic is present in the modeling. So when you're looking for it, that's what we need to have. We need to have the modeling of holy relationships, right? So this is a famous painting of in Scotland of a pregnant Magdalene, but we now actually have avatars who are living on this planet. And Scott, you've had this couple on for many times, and were they on the last show?
They were on 2 weeks ago when I was in LA, and yeah, Shakinwa and Sanandaji, I've gotten to know them very, very well, and they are absolutely the real deal. I've stayed with them in their home. They are living in an incredible state of consciousness together
Yes,
as a couple.
and they're modeling for us what it is to be in a holy relationship, and so we can learn from them. The other thing that is talked about is the ability to vision with divine mind, because when we see with our body's eyes, we see the past. And so what we learn to transition into is what we call Christ consciousness, or visioning, so that we see with the eyes of love, we see with eyes of compassion, we see with eyes of peace. And so, at Pato and Antoinette, who are going to be on the call in a little bit, they're modeling for us this devotion to the Mother Spirit. They have both given over their lives to working with honoring Mother Spirit from the Urantia book as they understand her, and they honor the feminine face of God as it relates equally with the masculine face of God. And so that's allows them to become in what we call in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, it talks about the anthropos state of consciousness, which is the being fully human, fully realized in consciousness. So and of course, what comes out of that? Oh, look at all the peace work that they're doing. It's just phenomenal. So this basic idea is where we're joining in oneness. And of course, we have the understanding that really, as Omar said at the beginning when we got together the program, we are the Shakti Shiva within ourselves. We are the one life, and we have both an integrated masculine and a feminine. So when I do my sacred feminine events, a lot of times the men that come there are able to come because they have an integrated feminine, and they're not afraid of the feminine. They're actually embracing it because they've accepted those feminine qualities within themselves, and they understand the oneness. And And this is the one life. Like when you look at me here, I'm alive. And the reason that I'm alive is because you know what it is to be alive. You know that energy that pulsates through someone. If I were dead, you'd know it immediately that I was not, my body didn't have life in it. So it's the life that we are, that where we are all one, and there's no separation in that. So what does the Course in Miracles have to say about it? Course in Miracles also says that the body's eyes see only separation, and therefore identifies it as you're my special one. And special love oftentimes leads to what they call special hate. When you're saying you're the only one for me, then what happens is that translates to special hate because it's based on something that's not true. And so what happens is you get put up on a pedestal, you get seduced, as a woman, I love being seduced by a man, but it's like the problem is you get put up on a pedestal and then they can't wait to knock you off, right? So attacks become frequent. And Scott, I know you have had so many sessions with couples who've been attacking each other and trying to help them get back to a place of longing, a place of compassion, a place of connectedness, which is all based on the truth of who they are, their spirit, right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
People do come together, and the more passionate the relationship is, which is a beautiful thing, the more there's projection. And then that's followed by disillusionment. And so that's why it is really important to have a baseline of being really best friends, so that as the passion comes or goes, the baseline of mutual respect and mutual friendship is really important.
Yeah, and I loved when you and I talked about doing this show, I loved what you said to me, because you said that there are now couples who, if one of them gets into a new partnership with someone else, they say, you got to go work with Scott first. You need to get grounded in the principles of compassionate relationship tools and have that skill set. And I found that too in one of our Enlightened Partnership events. The women stood up and they said, I send my man to go and have a therapist, because if he gets triggered, I want him to go to the therapist and get processed by the therapist. And so, and the guy stood up afterwards waiting to hear, well, how is it going to a therapist? And they said, oh, I love my therapist. They actually loved the idea once they realized how beneficial it was for them to go and process it out with the therapist, reason it out with her, and come up with their strategy, what their needs were, and get the clarity they needed, all the above line stuff that they needed to do, then they would do that. So I just got a few more points, Scott. I'm going to go back to sharing screen if that's possible here, and then we'll switch it over and hear from our couples for their wonderful inspiration and whatnot. I hope this is people are finding this invaluable to kind of look at these ideas a little bit. So in this special relationship, special love versus special hate, the body then has to look good, and the sexual chemistry is super critical, whereas the relationship is based on ego and not really on the gratification of love. They've missed out on that. But the problem is we're not separate from God. We are all special. We're all part of the all. And so to know our oneness, we vision through our divine mind, our true heart, and we are equal as spirit. So this is a famous painting of Mary Magdalene when she was doing her inner work. So taking that 100% responsibility, looking in within herself, trying to find the light within, connecting with the light and the love that she is. And you see how she's doing it in a very provocative and sexy way. She's very passionate. We have to be passionate about knowing that we are love, because the little I, our lower self or ego self or whatever, needs approval to enhance itself and it seeks external love. Whereas the higher self, which is what we are, that God created, needs nothing. So we can have this groveling on the ground, which is many places. They always put her on the ground looking up and groveling, versus the sovereign priestess, fully empowered, fully present, And if I had been a little girl and had been raised with this image that Sue Ellen Parkinson's painted, I would have been I would have had different relationships because, you know, and as you all have spoken to, we get into misperceptions. There needs to be a call for gentleness and love when we're in an enlightened partnership. Defenses are laid down, and there isn't a need for an attack. We don't want to attack. Our partner's needs become our own. We get curious. How can we actually meet your needs? I want your need. I remember one of the couples I had on the show, they felt very strongly about this. They said that, if she's not happy, I want her to be happy. And same with her, but I don't have to go and do everything she wants to do because I'm not interested in some of the things she wants to do. So we journey together in our God consciousness, right? And we are sourcing love from source, means that's our work to go in and find that connection. And then we share and extend it. So we had a living demonstration, but we didn't get the full picture. So where are we now? Well, the artists are now starting to paint the real picture of a very passionate, in love, very, very, as you can see, a beautiful painting of it. And I just want to share one last thing is when I became a priestess and I went into an altered state, I had so much Shakti power running through me. I was totally blissed out. And I was wondering to myself, am I just so filled of this joy and everything because I'm here in this gorgeous temple with all these priestesses and we're all dressed up. And so my inner kid is finally happy because we're playing dress up as adults and looking so beautiful and everything. And I went back to my room and I opened A Course in Miracle and my eye caught this sentence. And listen to this. All separation vanishes as holiness is shared. For holiness is power. And by sharing it, it gains in strength. And see, I had never felt the strength of holy power. And you're going to see couples tonight who have tapped into, are sharing their, and the separation vanishes for them from time to time so that they can share their holiness, they can share their love, they can share their peace, they can share their joy. And then by sharing it, it gains in strength. So thank you so much. I'm launching the evening and turning it over to you, Scott, because
Great.
I know it's hopefully going to stimulate a lot of great conversation. And put in the chat what idea you thought you liked the best. So thank you.
Thank you, Christine. We'll see you a little bit later on in the show.
Okay.
All right, well, let's meet our couples and hear how they relate to that. And our first couple are two very dear friends of mine. I have so much love and respect for Kamala Devi and Michael McClure. She is a world-class teacher, leader, author. She has also been teaching about relationships in some of the most challenging ways. They were featured on a Showtime television series for 2 years. And they are an amazing couple who have also successfully raised a young man. How old is Devin now?
16.
16. And he's an incredible young guy. So, you heard kind of Christy's introduction. What are some of the things that come up for you as you kind of heard her introduction? And what is it like to be in a 20-year marriage? I know that it's spiritually based, not a particular religion, but all about being conscious and aware. What comes up for you?
Yeah, it's been a wild ride through many different incarnations. And I would say that one of the parallels in what was being shared about shifting from special relationship into a holy-based relationship is that our first 10 years of our marriage, I would say we had a lot of personality conflict, and a lot of our bond was very much in the personal hot chemistry. And that's what this is almost like a second incarnation, our marriage now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The things that we bonded around were polyamory and shamanic work and tantra specifically. And that made it possible. It made it possible for us to, keep our human relationship in perspective. That's the way I kind of feel about it. That I met Kamala Devi at a Tantra puja, where there were, definite signs that came to me, and I was very non-spiritual at the time. So seeing those signs was big for me. And I knew that if I was having conflict with Kamala Devi, it had to do more with me than with our relationship, or it wasn't that Kamala Devi wasn't the right person. I always knew that right from the beginning. And so we were able to endure a lot more, through the difficult times in coming back together.
Yeah, I like what you're saying, because some of the breakdowns and the fighting and the conflict was sort of an opportunity to rub against the parts in us that were unhealed. So we both took responsibility for, like, okay, if we're having conflict between us, it's actually some kind of projection of something unhealed here. And after 10 years of that much conflict, I think we really had to break down, and we had to come to God in our relationship. And Scott was there for us in a really critical time when we're like, are we going to stay together?
Yeah, the D word was being thrown around several times.
And I bring up that dark, divorce question because it was a matter of, like, a relationship can have a dark night of the soul as well. And what came through was, do we want to keep relating as personalities, or allow the soul to come through and be in a soul-based relationship? And that's where I feel we're dancing now.
Yeah. And a lot of, for me, I appreciate that. As Christy was talking about, the part about judgment, having judgment of our partner and those things, I was going through on my own and with Kamala Devi an evolution into kind of unconditional love, like being in a beautiful state despite circumstances. And that had to do with money. I could be broke and I could still be in a beautiful state. I could be in terrible conflict with my wife and still be in a beautiful state. And when I started, like, kind of reaching that, we kind of evolved into it together, that by having less needs of Kamala Devi, for me to be happy, I didn't need Kamala Devi to be this perfect evolved mate. Kamala Devi could be, whatever, could be this angry bitch or whatever. And I was still okay with that. And by reaching that point, and the way I kind of feel about it now is that the ego is very has very high standards. Like, the ego, to be happy, it needs to have the beautiful, like Christy was talking about, it needs to have this beautiful, great body, beautiful person, all of these things to be happy. But the soul is like, I'll take anything.
What I'm hearing in what you say, and because I've worked with you all for a long time, it's all about compassionate understanding and radical acceptance. And
I want to distill down, because I think it's the personality needs a lot, and the soul actually wants for, instead of wanting from, it wants for. And so the shift that we both went through in the dark night of our marriage was, if I keep wanting from my partner, it's like a hungry ghost where you want from, but you can never be satisfied. But the soul is like, wow, if they're happy, and this is the compassion piece, like, their happiness brings me happiness. I feel with them, I want for them. And it just like a total shift in our focus.
It's super easy to blame, because I know I did it for so many years with Kamala Devi, and thinking, oh, I married the wrong, person. And then all of a sudden, in doing the work, I realized, I couldn't even remember the things that I was angry about. So instead of accepting, it was more of, or like they say, forgiving. I didn't have to forgive because I'd forgotten. It's like,
and here's
oh, I forgot.
Here's a
What
tip
was it?
for couples who are, on the path. Like, when Michael talks about the work, we have a practice we do every single night and have for, years now. Do you want to tell them about our?
Yeah, we do an appreciation shower. So I'll say something that I appreciate to Kamala Devi. Kamala Devi says one to me, and we go back and forth 3 times.
Right
every
before
night.
bed.
Yeah, right before bed.
Like we're drifting off to bed. And what happens is the sub and super consciousness is focused on, the beautiful being that's beside you. And you get kind of rewired in that practice every night because you go to sleep. Last thing is remembering how beautiful they are. And you wake up feeling that way. And, it just sets a tone for the whole day.
And as I'm digging into my mind to find the 3 things that I appreciate about Kamala Devi, I've suddenly forgotten these things that I hate, that I hated Kamala Devi for earlier in the day. Hypnotizing myself.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. All right, now let's talk about, you have a son. And so what's been your, and of course we could talk about this for hours, but where does having a son and balancing, an entrepreneurial life, both of you are entrepreneurs, a professional life, a marriage, and raising your son?
So again, with the soul conversation, it's like being stewards of a soul. Like we brought a soul through. And so I'm really curious, like, who is this soul being? What is their dharma? Like, what's going to light them up? So a big part of what we're doing is just supporting him to be him. And from that place, there's not a lot of like taking it and he's being a grumpy teenager or he's throwing a tantrum. It's like, all right, the personality's doing its trip, but I want to name the soul relationship that we have with him, because from that place, there's not a lot for us to stress or fight about. Like, how many times do you think we've had parenting fights, like about how we parent?
Yeah, very rarely.
Like in the 15 years, I think, Michael's feeling a little under supported because he's really focused on his education and I'm not, but there's nothing to fight about. We both just want for his soul.
So do you find that when he is throwing a temper tantrum or when he's having a personality issue, you take the approach of just not reacting to that, but maintaining the spaciousness of remembering the beautiful soul?
Yeah, I think that's a big part, because when you react, a lot of parents are like, oh, it's going to reflect on me. I'm going to look like a bad parent, or, like whatever, like, I need to discipline them now. And whatever trip you lay on to whatever they're experiencing just hooks into it. And that then spirals. Whereas if you just give it space, like, oh, he's being grumpy. Like he'll come back and be like, sorry, I was grumpy. Like it's clean. It's clean. It's like Teflon.
Yeah. It's been a big point for me recently. I've had a lot of issues with Devin and his grades, his school grades, and I'll take it, where I do get out of my beautiful state. And it's a good indicator for me. It's like, oh, okay. I don't want to come from a place where, it's usually me coming back to Devin and apologizing to him that I was in a grumpy mood. When I get on him in the morning about his grades or not turning an assignment in or whatever it is. And so it's a really good indicator for me and my own soul. Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's more work to do on, acceptance or detachment.
Yeah. And we're polyamorous. And so I have a tendency to think that we have a lot more capacity for, like working with different relationships, including the relationship with our son, because of that, that's part of our cycle of relationship. We're not like separating those relationships so much like I might have in the past about like a love relationship versus a family relationship. It's all the same stuff, all the same unconditional, loving and non-judgment part, Now,
I have one last question for you, we've got to move on. But because I know you personally and professionally, I can say Michael is incredibly talented. He's a great musical artist. He's a funny guy. But in your world, Kamala Devi has a bigger public profile. She's more the star, if you will. And how is that for you, Michael? How is it for you, being the dutiful husband and father to someone who at times, shines so brightly?
Um, yeah, for me, Kamala Devi's been a huge teacher for me, a teacher about creativity. Kamala Devi's one of the most creative people that I know.
Yeah.
And I have been a bit of a stuck artist as well. And so Kamala Devi's helped me to bring my own self out. And I've had to also learn a lot about finding myself, not being in under the skirts of Kamala Devi. And not to like let Kamala Devi pull me along, to find my own way. It's been an interesting thing. I'll just say this one thing, but I had a visualization at one of our trainings. Kamala Devi riding a broom, and I was water skiing behind the broom. I think that sums it up.
I love that. That's great. That's great.
I want to sum up your question points to differentiation, like how important it is for couples to know their, who they are independent of their partners. And there is no enlightened relationship when we're stuck in the codependence of we think you're my other half. It's really
Right.
key to be know who you are and be in relationship with the whole person.
Well, I asked the question because honestly, it's in our culture, it's not so common that the woman is the big star and the man is able to maintain his equilibrium as beautifully as I notice that you do, Michael. And so honestly, it's something I admire about you, that you, as long as I've known you, you've always had healthy self-esteem and a healthy self-respect, despite being married to, such a bright light.
I also need to say we're just, not traditional gender roles. My pronouns are they, them, and Michael's has an exquisite inner goddess. And so the way that our relationship, gender bends and shape shifts doesn't have a lot of regard for who's wearing the pants.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kamala Devi is a brilliant author and teacher. And you can book her to speak, and she is amazing. And if you go to her website, it's her name, KamalaDevi.com, KamalaDevi, KamalaDevi.com. Her TEDx talk is really powerful. We didn't, this particular show was not about polyamory and open relationship, but she's one of the foremost really teachers on how to manage polyamory. I know that some people in the chat box, it's that's not their thing. And yes, it's definitely complicated, but I can say that they've done this incredibly well. And brilliant coach, brilliant teacher. And you're working on a new book, right?
Yes, always. Actually, it's the Poly Playbook. So I'm having fun with the how to close the gap between the theory and the practice of open relationships.
Well, that's a good topic for our Wednesday night show. Wednesday night is when Trish and I talk about those things. So when the book is close to coming out or ready, let's definitely have you come back on to talk about that. That would be really good. I love you guys so much. Thank you for getting our show off to a good start. And I'm just really grateful to you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. I really do. I love those guys so much. And they're both incredibly talented on so many levels. As teachers and creative artists, I could go on and on. Speaking of creative artists, we are going to go to our next couple. And that is Jamishka. They're back. And they're going to play 2 songs for us tonight because we're running a little late and Shri and Kira are here. I'm going to ask you to do your opening song now, And then after your second song is when we're really going to drop in and converse with you. Because we've got Sri and Kira waiting for us
Sounds great.
in from Ecuador. But welcome. This is Jamishka. James and Ishka together makes Jamishka. And every time you've been on the show, you've been such a delight. So when I knew we were doing this, I was really grateful when I reached out and you agreed to do the show. I'm really happy you're with us tonight.
Very
Thank
much
you.
mutual. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So what's the first song that you got for us tonight?
Well,
I have a little a cappella ditty for you all, since we're on the topic of divine union
and love.
and love.
So the beginning is a short little snippet that we do that kind of represents part of who we are as a couple, and then we're going to pair that with another short little snippet of an improvisation on our romance.
Beautiful. Fantastic. All right, I'm going to put the full spotlight on you, and here we go.
All right. Let me be your ocean, and you can be my rock. So rough and ready, tough and steady, you can take me under in tides receding, true and believing, you can take me on.
I can be your stone foundation. You can be my flow. So soft and steady, strong and ready, you can take me under in tides receding, true and believing, you can take me on.
That was so beautiful. I love watching the two of you looking at each other, and it's just very, very romantic, actually. It's really beautiful. Oh. We're going to hear more from Jamishka and actually talk to them about their relationship a little later on in the show. But I do want to remind everybody that you can learn all about Jamishka by going to the website, which is their name. It's Jamishka. So think Jame, Jameeshka, Jamishka.com. And definitely make sure you put in your name and your email address so that they can keep you updated. And she's an amazing artist. In addition to the musical offerings, she also creates incredible artwork, which I've had the pleasure to really see and enjoy. So anyway, there they are, Jamishka. And likewise, you can find all sorts. They're based out of the Bay Area. Also spend time in Ashland, Oregon. And love you guys, and looking forward to really dropping in and conversing with you a little bit later on in the show.
Thank you so
Sounds
much.
good.
Always a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Oh my God,
See
you
you
guys
soon.
are beautiful. Just beautiful. Ah, wasn't that sweet? Oh my God, so sweet. All right, well, I'm going to go to kind of our keynote speakers. Our keynote presenters are here. And it's Shri and Kira coming to us live from Ecuador. There they are. Welcome, you two beautiful souls who I get to be in person with in Los Angeles in about 4 weeks from now. And we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But for anybody who doesn't know Shri and Kira, they really have created the yoga of self-ascension. It's a non-dogmatic pathway paved with peace, love, and joy, opening the doorway of enlightenment as the divine recognition that all beings already carry the full nature of the sacred inside themselves, which is really perfect for what tonight's show is all about. Wisdom teacher Sri Ram is a gifted psychotherapist, skilled medical intuitive, and master Avesa quantum healer. And Master Lady Kira Ra was born highly clairvoyant and was declared clinically dead in 1989. Now, formerly she was $1 million executive, but yet now she's widely acclaimed as one of the most profound archangel oracles of our time. She has called forward the original system of numerology, is widely published in many magazines, and most of all, they're just beloved. People love Shri and Kira. I had multiple people over the last couple of days say, oh, you've got Shri and Kira on your show? You got Shri and Kira coming to Los Angeles? People who know them love you very, very much. So I'm so grateful that you're here with us. And take it away. Tell us what it's like, the human parts of yourselves, to be in a spiritual union while also doing this great work. And I should say, they moved down to Ecuador and they've created this incredible retreat center. It's a 5-star resort in the native of Ecuador with the indigenous elders. And they've built the tallest bamboo pyramid in the world. So they have created all these online courses, a retreat center, the pyramid. Many of you, of course, were with us when we had the unveiling of the pyramid on this show. So you create all these incredible things in the external world while being in a divine partnership with each other. How do you do it? Tell us the secrets and the challenges too.
Let's take a breath on that first, Scott, right? Let's just all really receive that, right? Because that was a lot in one breath. And
thank you
you've
for
had a
the
big
kind
day.
introduction.
So I'm just receiving. I think we're all right. Let's all give Scott a breath right now and say, okay, thank you. And Scott, the only answer I want to offer, and then I'll let Shri dive in. And I think it's all still in our very first book that's still in print. That was the first miracle, because Archangel Zadkiel shared with Shri and I when we first came together. You will have this book within 30 days. And this is the 7th continual printing of this book in 2002 was the first publication.
2003.
2003.
Yeah.
So 19 years ago, this book that's still out there is the whole story of how we came together. And it's because we met through a divine appointment. And when we actually met in quote unquote this experience of form, let's just say that it wasn't all roses at the initial moment.
You know, it's an interesting thing because I
Yeah.
think we all go through an evolution in our consciousness where we're looking for someone to fill in the missing pieces inside, and we kind of begin
Right? We
there.
think we're not whole.
We're attracted to someone who will complete us.
Right?
And the irony of that is you are already complete, you just kind of forgot, and so you're looking for that mirror. But what happens over time is I think many people travel a path of going through multiple relationships before they're ready for true partnership.
Now, I want you all to take a breath on that, because one of the things that was in one of our best-selling books, 2012, You Have a Choice, and I was really feeling and receiving into all of the energy and the dialogue that's been happening on the show so far this evening. And I reflect upon that book where this was the moment, right? That was really that moment, that birth of the 4 soul groups and the expression of those, and listening to everything that's been happening and the relationships are a state of consciousness until we break free and are in oneness with our wholeness and full presence of our mastery. Thereby 2 masters meet in partnership. And that's what Shri and I were blessed to pioneer 20 years ago, and have held that container ever since. And to start out in the expansion of that paradigm and holding that frequency in the energy of the cross of perfect balance is the sacred union of the yoga of self-ascension, which is our absolute knowing that within the one and the all is a seed, and it's just waiting to bloom. It's waiting to grow. And so inside of each one of us, we've had that mirror upside down, right?
Yeah.
When Shri and I met, we were literally staring at opposite parts of the same person who had the same experience in other parts of the same experience potentiality. And so as we would all breathe into this moment, the first partnership is to sincerely know, to go beyond all sense of fear, doubt, and hesitancy, and to know the master within in the wholeness of this potentiality, while being completely aware of the vast oneness that's experiencing now. And in that moment, sacred union births, because you remember yourself. So the union begins right here. And what happened with Shri and I was very, very similar. You know, I can let him share it, but for those of you who don't know Shri and I, you should read this book, number 1. And also, you know, get caught up with the Ascension Renaissance, which is at Amazon right now. But really, it was about coming to that sacred moment where the passion to live the mastery outweighed everything.
Yeah.
To be on your knees before the divine and just say, I'm yours. You know, whatever it is I'm here for, I am yours.
Yeah.
And we met within a couple months of each of us independently arriving at that moment.
Yeah. Just to continue a little bit, it's important to honor where you're at and be present for what will emerge. And honoring where we're at means that I accept who I am at this stage, and I accept this beautiful person, regardless of gender, regardless of form, that is before me in partnership or relationship. And the difference, really, from my vantage point at this stage in my path, is relationships have a lot more of the personality component driving the joys and the choices. A true partnership is anchoring in a unified spiritual path that there's not just one and the one, there is the oneness. And so in a partnership, we are bonded at a soul level as well as at the personality level. But relationships, when they're personality driven, they're driven more on the pleasure side of things and honoring values and all of that. However, the true union is a soul-based agreement and a fusion, you might say. And that actually is affected a bit by the soul group of the person that is incarnate.
Which
And that's
was
a
what you
whole
were
other
talking about. That's-
conversation.
We wrote a whole book on that. I think that was book number 3. I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, question. I've certainly observed that couples like yourself that are, truly living a spiritual path, your service to the world is the higher priority as opposed to, the whole, make me happy kind of thing. But talk about that. How does that show? Because you two do so much. You've created so much, and you are so dedicated to service. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first and foremost, thank you, Scott, because, back at you. And one of the gifts is that Shri and I, and if we all would bring our hand to our heart around that, when our first book came out and we dangled the absolute potentiality that we were in an emergent moment, that self-ascension was back, that we had the opportunity to together emerge as emergence itself, expanding consciousness beyond where it has been before. And that's the blessing of all the polarity. That's the blessing of the potentiality. And in 2015, we put out the 7 polarities of free will. And we put out that chart 2015 through 2021 and ticked it off. And there it was. And in the energy of fear or trust, in the self-ascended presence of this moment, right now, you are birthing. We are in a 50,000 year cycle that's just going, hello, how are you? So much so that we sent a comet our way to make sure that everyone would see it, regardless of their level of consciousness, to be here right now. And can we share the 0 point, Shri? I think maybe we should talk about that.
Yeah.
And so as we're gazing right now, Scott, are we able to share? We are.
Yeah, you can speak.
Wonderful. So we want to, I think let's start right here.
Okay. Here we
So
go.
are you, hopefully you guys are seeing a Taurus field right now with a man and woman.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Okay. So what you're gazing at is the moment of conscious awareness of ascended presence within. And there it is, Egyptian healing rods. We've got ours too, Scott, because boy, do they help, right? And so when you're in that moment of conscious awareness of that, of all that I am as you are, the aspect of the masculine and the feminine reflect each other.
Yes.
You become aware of the awareness, and then you become aware of the sacred union, that oneness. And you see what it says right here on the bottom, because we're going to show you a very quick evolution of what happens, is that this is that healing energy, but we must welcome it. We must be open to allow that to enter into our auric field of creation so that a positive healing experience can happen. And Shri, let's stop the share for a minute because, honestly, I think we'd be remiss. I think Jerry's here because we actually have proof of that, Scott. I don't know if Jerry wants to say hello, but when Jerry was here, he and Shri did exactly that to create a miracle healing. Hey, there's Jerry. Jerry, am I talking out of school? Am I being bad? Is it okay if I'm bringing this up?
Sure.
Oh, thank
Let's
you.
do it, Rick.
So just to set this up for a moment, I'm not exactly sure where it's going to go, but Jerry Anderson is one of our most beloved global peace drivers. He is the wild monk who is in charge of the mystic monastery, 10,000 acres in Puerto Rico, that he is the steward of. And he met Shri and Kira through the awakening world. They became friends. He went down to Ecuador to meet with them. And I think then they're about to share a story about that time.
What we're going to share is about what we just showed you in that first. I want you to hold that diagram we just showed you of that Taurus field of ignition. And that in order for that to happen, in order to be in that energy of creation itself, of healing itself, one must welcome it through that type of dynamic healing energy. And I feel that Shri and Jerry had a miracle together. And so I'm just going to sit here and sip my little tea and let you guys share this miracle, because this is the gift of the law of instantaneous manifestation when we say yes. So Shri, I'll let you and Jerry, I don't know the best way to describe this,
Well,
but let's give the short version. I don't want to take up too much time.
I think that the opportunity to be in union begins when the heart's open.
Right.
And whether that's for a moment or a lifetime, that's a different chapter.
Exactly.
And we became friends. Well, Jerry was visiting Tosa Blue Mountain in Ecuador, and then there was a little mishap on his last day, and took a little fall on some wet tile at the swimming pool area, and that doesn't feel good when you hit the floor, And so we came together in a healing moment to say how, not to say how, we just came to moment to make right what had been impacted.
And Jerry, maybe you want to fill in.
Yeah, go ahead and fill in the blanks a little bit.
Yes, it was very intense. I took about an hour and a half before I could actually stand up. And they moved me onto some ice packs, and the cat took over. They have a crazy cat named Merlin that climbed between my legs and just did tap taps all over me. and Shri and the Jeremy, they did amazing miracle on my body, and in less than 6 hours later I was up before my alarm, packing, actually dancing in my room to get ready to head back to the United States. So yes, it was a crazy miracle, incredible miracle.
Thank you.
Thank you. And what I experienced, Jerry, in that time, you were very receptive.
That's the key.
There was this love energy of saying, I surrender,
is.
I'm willing to accept whatever's for the highest good. And I felt this angelic energy flowing through me, and the two of us together created that torus field of union. That was the bond is love, and the expansion is about trust.
Exactly.
When we have love, when we have trust, we have union, we have opportunity. Yes. And so the opportunity was there. It wasn't that we had to create the healing, it was that we needed to be in union, and then that which was
there it is.
What was appropriate came to be.
Exactly.
And what was appropriate is you needed to dance, you needed to be whole and get on your airplane without suffering.
All right.
Thank you.
No, thank you,
miracle.
Jerry, for sharing. Thank you. And Scott, just so you know, there were people here that were like placing money on Jerry was going to need to reschedule his flight. He was never going to be able to travel. It would be at least 2 days before he would recuperate. I mean, this was a bona fide moment where that torus field of ignition and that healing positive energy came together in true union. And
So what I really want to anchor in, because it's beautiful, is I recognize that a lot of the people watching the show are single. They're not in a relationship, a romantic partnership.
Right.
But what you just described is that in any moment, any two or more people can come together and create an enlightened partnership moment. And say again, what are the key elements for that to happen?
Well, love and trust. And through that, the surrender comes naturally.
Sincerity, love, and presence will always bring it together.
Yeah, beautiful.
Always. And I want to, if you don't mind, I want to offer another share, because where we just were, so what Shri and Jerry and Jamie was there as well, what they all accomplished through that connection, is I want to take you guys to another slide, because this is important. Because what happened was and Scott just asked us about it, he said, what were those things again? Okay, well, here it is. Look at this. When you have steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust in you, in the divine sacred union of the one, then what happens is that 2 that you saw in that first torus field, remember we invited you to remember that, blends into this beautiful gift that becomes the framework of support. And I'm going to stop the share because I want to show that to you without the words in it, because this is what happens to you. This is the who that you are. I'm trying to find it on my screen. There it is. Forgive me. There we are. So this is when I had my near-death experience, when I died of cancer in 1989, all of this torus field were lotuses And it was every aspect of all beingness, of all beings, with these beautiful, beautiful crystalline energy fields connecting us through our hearts. And at any moment, we each have that opportunity to spiral into that central field of creation itself. And this is where you remember and become the infinite potentiality of all that is. I am as you are in the 0 point field of creation. And so I just want you to breathe that in.
Yeah. And notice the balance, and also notice the in the torus field there is like a figure 8. This is a cross section.
Exactly.
Well, we live in a world of form, and we're oftentimes our perceptual lenses are looking at this,
Or at least trying to, right?
and yet when we close our eyes, at least that's where it becomes easier. We begin to feel the energy that is between us and part of us. You're inseparable from the energy field that is supporting your existence.
And there you are. And you see, if you look right into the center here, and all of these graphics or visions that I have had that I've brought into form. And in LA at the Wisdom, we are so honored and excited that we're going to be presenting a 360-degree filmed experience of this, where you can actually feel yourself. And you see, once you become that 0 point generator of infinite potentiality, then as creation itself is creating again all sense. And this is where consciousness has brought this planet right now. And this is why Sri and I are still on the planet. We've had we could have checked out many times, read the website, go to streetkids.com, right? but the reason we're all here right now is because we're at that moment of unification. And it begins by remembering that ascension is not something that happens when you die. It's not something that happens through all of these other extraordinary things. The blessing of your conscious awareness, the yoga of self-ascension, is as unique as you are. It's the opportunity for you, while in this body of form, to absolutely call forward the divine mastery presence as service itself, bringing us the long story short back to Scott's question. Our life is service, Scott.
Yes.
This isn't what we do for a living. This isn't what we wake up and think about. There are no days off. What's that? This is what we are, And so because of that, people often say, how do you guys get so much done in such a short time? It's like, oh my God, you've gotten this done and that done and that done. That's because we work outside of linear time. When we are reverse aging, meaning we have let go of the paradigms that make us believe that we must healthy age, which is actually just a way of accepting old age gracefully, right? When we invite ourselves to actually say, I am the commander of this ship, here to assist and facilitate the unification at this unique potentiality, this moment. That's why we're all here. And that's why I think for the first time in 12 years, Sri and I were called back to Los Angeles, didn't we?
To interact more directly and to share. One of the things that I think is important for all of us, regardless of the conversation about partnership and union, is to practice looking at each being we meet as their highest potential.
There it is.
So when I look at you, I see the divine emerging through this personality and through the body, and I see and sense and trust your highest potential. And therefore, I'm reflecting to you your best as you reflect back to me my best.
Always.
And when we do that in divine partnership, it certainly makes it a whole lot smoother to get past the speed bumps that a personality might be conflicting with.
So thank you, because I'm looking at the time going, I bet Scott's freaking out. We're just having
Scott never freaks out.
Trust me, we've been on the air for 20 years. We get it. And so thank you.
Orchestrating a lot of
Exactly.
Well, there's so much to share with you two, and so much to learn. And that's why I'm really excited that we're going to be together for several days at the end of March. And honestly, pretty much the Global Peace Tribe Retreat is going to be about 70% Sri and Kira and your shaman that you're bringing up. So just for those people who can make it down to Los Angeles, And again, starting on March 28th, when we're all together at the Wisdom. And then on Wednesday, the 29th, we're going to go out to Patron Antoinette's land during the day and then be with you in the evening on the beach. And then we start really going deep into processes and experiences. Share with our audience a little bit about what you're going to be doing.
Thank you so much for asking. How kind. And one thing I do want to just acknowledge is that we are so grateful that for any of you that might have seen anything around the pyramid and when it was consecrated, that we were very, very blessed to secure both a visa and passport for Alexander Padilla. And so this is sincerely, Sri and I have been working on a documentary with these people for 2 years. These are the people of light. These are the Dogon of South America. This is the Rainbow Bridge. This is the moment. And he is already sitting with the elders, preparing all of the blessings they're going to be bringing. And so
sacred medicine,
it's going to be
everything
extraordinary.
to share.
And so he also will have time at the Wisdom, which we're very, very grateful and honored he was offered to have. And the other thing, Scott, that I just want to share is that it's really not 70% Sri and Kira. What it is the divine master saying hello. Let us come together and remember that together we are better. Let us come out of the bubble of illusion into an opportunity to invite a greater potentiality to emerge, to allow ourselves to each arrive at this table, carrying the armor of our divine presence, seeing the beauty of each one together. Yeah. And so Sri and I have been very blessed to live among the indigenous for 12 years. And I'm nervous about coming to the United States, guys. I mean, I'll be really honest with you. I'm really, really like, oh my gosh, that kind of creepy. I hate to say it, but it is. We've been living in South America so long that para mí es mi casa. So it's going to be interesting.
And so just to bring up the world of detail is that. So we're flying up to LA with this beautiful they call him grandfather.
Fall in love. Oh my gosh.
He's going to do a ceremony Friday, the 31st, is it?
Well, he's also in the dome.
He'll be in the dome.
And he's going to be going to the land
but the flow moving up to the weekend is Friday the 31st. Alexander Padilla is going to be offering an authentic ceremony and cleansing and rituals and plant medicines and beautiful opportunity to connect with Gaia through the heart and knowings of these traditions. And then Friday evening, Kira and I are going to be taking the group on a beautiful, we call it a salon, but it's basically an ascension experience, an energetic of lifting out of the mundane and being into your higher self.
We have not done an ensoulment like this in 12 years. Many years ago, when we were in the United States and we were on tour during most of our books, we were doing these frequently, but I'm very excited. And then Saturday, in coordination, and all of us in coordination with you and your beautiful musicians, I'm going to show you one quick share, because the only way to tell you what we're doing is this. This is where we're going to take you. So how about that? I'll just show that to you really quick. That is the Divine Galactic Blueprint. And what that is the Ascended Chakra System. And there is a Shakti put presence that we're going to be offering for the first time. And the flow of this whole week, the dome, the immersion, the land, the ocean, the pace.
Yeah, and the spiritual community. This is an up-level moment
for everyone
that should be very sweet and cherished.
And the last time we did a salon, often people in the front rows, when we do live ensoulments like this, sometimes they experience sunburns. We often offer them, like, if you want to be in the front row where I'm going to be, you might want to be aware of that because of the energy transmissions and what happens during the salons. And it's been a long time since we've done this. And I am a little nervous about it because I've been so blessed to live among the indigenous and feel so safe. And I left the United States because of the egocentricity and the need for ulterior motives. So it's a very tender and rare thing, which is why we limit it. And we'll be doing it in the home we rented. And once people register, they'll get a private invitation to come be there with us.
Beautiful. Well, I'm really looking forward to it, and I do want to direct people to two of your websites. Your main website, of course, is shriandkira.com, SRI and KIRA.com, and you're talking about their books. There's so many things. I mean, there's a lot that they are creating and doing, but I'm going to direct us to the store. And if you go to the store, you can find books, and that's where you'll be able to find the books that we talked about. But they've got all sorts of incredible things. And it's a very elaborate website. Also, and we featured this before on a previous show with you, but I can't wait to go to Ecuador and be at your Tosa Blue Mountain retreat. That's, of course, where Jerry Anderson was. 5-star wellness resort, and the pyramid, this incredible pyramid of peace that you've created. And it's an incredible, all-inclusive retreat site. So Shri and Kara, you are just creating so much. Plus, I just want to say these Egyptian rods. They sent me a pair, and I have a very good friend named Jonathan Robinson who literally wrote the book on tools and gadgets for enlightenment. He's written 14 books. He's been featured multiple times on Oprah Winfrey, and he is like the guy who studies all the different tools for enlightenment. And when I gave him these, and he spent about 3 hours with them, he said, "Oh my God, these are the most powerful devices of this kind I've ever experienced." And he's like the guy who's in the know of it. And I've really been enjoying working with them. And so just briefly, share with our audience a little bit about these Egyptian rods, and I'll also show them where they can find them on your website.
Okay, well, thank you. We're at the cycle of the ages, and a lot of people began to wake up to this for around the 2012, and it's continuing. And what's happening is that people are gravitating toward the tools for ascension, the tools that lift our energy, heal our bodies, and allow us to be the spiritual beings that we truly are. And these Egyptian healing rods were made or are made in a giant pyramid that forever imprints that sacred energy into the crystals that are inside the rods.
That's why they're so powerful, because you have to have this pyramid to do it.
And all of the studies, and I've been looking at this
Exactly.
for 20 years, the molecular structure of all of the ingredients in the rods actually changes. They become more conductive. And when we were in a ensoulment with Archangel Zadkiel, I held the rods up and I said, "What are these?" And this angelic being began laughing and saying, "Oh, you have the wands of ascension, and they only appear at the ascension cycles."
And Scott, I want to show you that this is from our first book, right? The one that's still in print that really I encourage everybody to read, and go to Amazon for the Ascension Renaissance. But we have been, can you see this? If you notice, and we're going to be back in Egypt in June, but you see the hands?
Yes.
All rods. These rods were first discovered at the Great Pyramids. And there was actually the original pair was on display at the Metropolitan for many years in the 1920s.
Wow.
And yeah, no, it's extraordinary history.
There's a lot of science.
That's a whole show.
And the more you look, the more you're going to see them in ancient Egypt. And they were very much plugged into what they called creating the future, connecting with God to create your future. And they used the wands of ascension to lift their energy so that they could be in that manifest flow. A lot more to share.
EgyptianHealingRods.com.
Well, there you go. Go to the website,
Just
EgyptianHealingRods.com. Take a peek, and you may find that you get that nudge inside saying, "That's for me."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and they are the real thing, and they are the original formulas. And like I said, that's a whole thing.
Yeah, I am careful about what I promote on the show. I mean, of course, I'm going to promote our musicians and the music, but these are the real deal. I'm having an amazing experience with them. And when Jonathan, and then I actually gave him my first pair because he wanted to spend 2 weeks with them. He said, "Yep, Scott, they're amazing." And he went out and he bought a couple of other examples of rods and did comparison. And he said, "There's no comparison. These are they're a whole different vibration."
Also about what's inside of them, because they might look the same, but they're not even. Mine are meteorites. And this is the only pair, because this was a beautiful find from a friend of ours. And what's inside of those rods right there is a totally different composition. And the way that we have them set in the pyramid and the amount of time that they're charged before they're put in there. So right now there's how many do we have out there right now? 12?
Well, yeah, we have 12 different
12
recipes
different
for different
recipes.
physical needs.
Yeah.
But the magical thing, there are people that have imitated these, and bless them, they're doing what they know how to
Awesome.
do. However, these are the only ones that are conditioned in the giant pyramid, and therein is the difference.
And the
That's
formulas.
the X factor, the alchemical relationship energetically that is the ascension frequency.
So thank you for asking. And we know the power of them. We've worked with them for quite a while.
Well, I'm really looking forward to being with you in person.
We are with
Likewise.
all of you.
Likewise.
Oh my
Thank you.
goodness.
Have fun.
Thank you for taking time to be with us tonight, and thank you for modeling Enlightened Partnership for us. Love you
Thank
guys.
you. We are so grateful. Many blessings.
Much love to you all.
Bye-bye.
We're going to have Pato and Antoinette live from Brazil in a few minutes. But before that, we're going to go to Fanny and Vigari. But before that, just a reminder that we are going to have this amazing week together in Los Angeles. I'll be putting up all the details on the globalpeacetribe.com website later this week. Or you can email me or Facebook Messenger me saying, hey, Scott, I'm interested in coming into Los Angeles. I'll put you on the list. We are going to get probably a large group home, very similar to what we did when we had our Sedona retreat. And that's where I'm going to be putting a lot of my focus over the next week or two to really pull together this amazing opportunity to be with Shri and Kira and Omashar and many of our other Los Angeles friends, Louisa Stowe, a lot of our musical friends. It's going to be an incredible week in Los Angeles. So again, it starts on Tuesday, March 28th. We'll go through till Monday, April 3rd. And that's going to be a time to be down in Southern California with all of us. All right, it's time for some music to just digest all that we just heard. Shri and Kira bring so much to us. So I'm going to go to our beloved friends, Fanny and Vigari. And there's Vigari. Hello, brother.
Hi. Yes, greetings, everyone.
I think you need to maybe adjust your camera. There we go. So we see Fanny as well. And welcome you too. I'm so glad to have you with us. You are again an example of an enlightened partnership. How long have you two been together?
We've been together about almost 30 years.
30 years together. Isn't that beautiful? Creating the most
It's hard to believe that it's been that long. It still seems like we only recently got together.
Wow. Well, you certainly are two of our absolute favorite people on this show. And again, when I was putting the show together, it was like, oh, we got to have Fanny and Vigari on the Enlightened Partnership show. Because you live it. And we see that in the music that you play together. Fanny, what's one of the keys to being in an enlightened partnership with this guy for 30 years?
Oh my goodness, you're asking me. After all these incredible couples that I heard this evening, I feel like a baby, and I feel like I am the divine fool, and I live it up with my innocence of being always working with the children. I've been a children's entertainer all my life since I've met Vigari. That's my work, my divine work has been. So I am this innocence that shines in me, that is happy, that is the ultimate joy and happiness. I am a divine fool. So when I met this extraordinary mystique, I just adored him, and then I praised and I loved the music, the dance that we do together, and it's just getting better and better. It's just our love is the ultimate, and as I love myself, I can love him, and that's what it is for me. I truly am having a blissful experience in this life.
You know, that's really a theme that's emerging. We heard Michael McClure talk about that. We heard Shri and Kira talk about it. Now you talking about it, that we have to really authentically love ourselves and be whole within ourselves, not looking to someone to complete us, but rather someone to reflect back, so we stay in a consistent memory as sacred union of sacred mirrors, helping each other to remember that we are always the eternal beloved. So thank you for saying that. We're going to talk more with you guys towards the end of the show because I know that Patra and Antoinette are waiting from Brazil. So I'm going to ask you to come in. And what's the first song you're going to play for us tonight?
Yeah, we're going to play a song called Heart of the Heart.
Oh, perfect.
Gabby's composition.
Okay. And it's in you, it's in me. You might say that it is the key. If it showed and you could see, would you let it set you free? When that seed becomes a tree, there will be shelter for you and me, wherever we be. Look around, look inside. There's no telling what you're gonna find. Look ahead, look behind. Every question could be your guide. Feel that silent part of you, shining the light that will lead you right to where you need to be. I'm reaching for the highest places. Let me find grace in the deepest feelings there. Just carry me into the heart, where all is clear. Into the heart of the heart. Let this be my prayer. Through the fire, lead me safely. Let us go beyond desire. In the healing water, may our crimes and our disgrace be washed away. I'm reaching for the highest places. Reaching higher. Let me find grace in the deepest feelings there. Feel those feelings. Just carry me into the heart of the heart, where all is clear. Into the heart of the heart. Let this be my fear. Highest places, find grace in the deepest feelings there. Just carry me into the heart of the heart, where all is clear. Into the heart of the heart. Let this be my prayer. I'm reaching for the highest best places. Let me find grace in the deepest evenings there. Just carry me into the heart of the heart, where all is clear. Into the heart of the heart of the heart. Let this be my prayer.
Let's all go to gallery view, give them some good twinkling. Thank you, everybody, so much. See so many of our friends here tonight. It was beautiful. And you know, Fanny has something new that was showing for the first time here. Her tribal, mystical, fun furs designs. Tell us a little bit about what this new offering of yours is, Fanny.
Oh, my darling, they're for keeping you warm and cozy through the colds of the evenings of the winter. And this is all made with recycled fabric. I call them the fun furs, and they're beautiful. They're well presented, and they're made for each one is for unique for you, and I make different ones, and they're just so fun to wear, and they're for avatars and healers.
And also they're synthetic. They're not
yeah,
no animals died for
yeah,
those.
they're actually recycled fabric, which is really, really great. And that's what it.
He's going to show you one now.
Oh, great. All right, I'm gonna remove myself so we can have full spotlight on you.
Here we go. So here we go. You wear one. Let me see the.
Oh, beautiful.
And they are also reversible, and they have pockets.
All right, well, I put the link into the chat box where people can learn more, order more, and we are going to have more Fanny and Vigari on the show a little bit later on, and we're going to talk to them more about their relationship at that time. But coming all the way from Brazil, we've got Pato and Antoinette with us, and I had the good fortune of a week ago being with them in person in Sonoma, California, where they gave an amazing concert, and we had a wonderful conversation with the audience. And here you are now in Brazil. What's it like down there in Brazil during this incredible carnival time?
Very good. It's carnival, so it's pretty exciting, and it's pretty lively down here. It's pretty incredible, but it's kind of crazy too, because the weather, I don't know what kind of weather you guys are having up there, but I know when we left, I think they said it was snowing in California. And then when we got down here, it's been raining. They've had severe floods and raining down here. I mean, severe floods that they're like 48 people died in the floods in Salvador, in Sao Paulo in the state. But since we got here and it's been raining, but today in Carnival, no rain. It's been sunny. It's been beautiful the entire day. And even though it still says rain for the entire week, I think it's like the weather angels that they have sent us a blessing. And I keep saying this a lot of times when we go out together, is that the weather angels always kind of like really come through for us. But it was proof positive again today. It was spectacular.
Well, of course, tonight's show is all about enlightened partnerships. And so I'd love to have you speak. What is it like? Because again, you're one of those couples, you accomplish so much. You travel all over the world. You're making the documentary on Ubuntu. You're doing concerts. You have a full ministry. So tell us, what's it like to be so immersed in your service to the world while also being a married couple?
All right. So before I answer that question, Scott, I want to answer the first question about the carnival, because Antoinette started talking about the weather. And what she didn't tell you is that we were actually the headline act for the entire carnival in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Wow.
We had about 100,000, no, not 100,000. How much?
10,000, 20,000, was it?
I don't know, it's carnivals, there's a lot
But
of
there
carnivals.
was
this-
thousands and thousands and thousands of people all around us. We were on a big truck and we were driving on the truck very, very slowly. We had 60 musicians backing us, 60 drummers backing us, as well as a band. The drummers were marching with us, a samba, massive entourage, plus a band on the stage with us. And it was phenomenal. As far as my eyes could see, there was people in every direction of the truck, and they were all singing my songs. So it was absolutely amazing. I don't know how she just brushed over it so, so lightly, but it was a band, a local band in Sao Paulo that approached me during the pandemic and asked me if I would do a song with them. And I told him to send me the song. I did the song with them. And it was a guy that had a vision to start one of the biggest samba reggae bands in Sao Paulo. So I recorded a song, sent it back to him. He put it on his new album. The song is very popular right now. Go Pato, as you may know, was a #1 song in Brazil. So you have all of the samba people coming out, all of the reggae crowd coming out as a big blend, and it was just phenomenal. Is the only word I could say.
Oh yeah.
That's the band.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, so that's the carnival. Okay, carnival was
How
amazing.
wonderful
The weather
to be with you right after you've had this incredible experience. I mean, I think we're all feeling just your excitement. And the energy. What a high.
We just got back to the hotel a few hours ago.
Yeah, they're still partying. They're all out there in the streets. Still.
And yes, it was very, very beautiful, very amazing. I signed a lot of autographs, hugged a lot of people, but in the end, they had to take me away because it was just getting too crazy.
Wow.
We did get an experience to go to the first Black church, Black Catholic church in Brazil. And it's a big, beautiful church. It has so much history. And they hosted us. We had a meal there. We met one of the lady who's been there for 30 years serving the community. And it was a very, very amazing experience. So much history is here in Brazil, regarding the natives, regarding slavery, regarding, what's going on right now. There's just so much to discuss and talk about. But we've had a very, very beautiful time in Brazil so far.
Oh, that's.
So when we come back, we're coming back again, but when we come back, we'll be sure to stop with Sri and Kira again on the way back.
Beautiful. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Well, answering the question, the second question you asked about enlightened relationships. I got to be very honest with you, Scott. When Antoinette told me about what the show was about, I didn't want to do it today. And the reason why is because at first I was just thinking about our relationship as an enlightened marriage. And then I was feeling as though I wasn't worthy to be classified as an enlightened relationship based on basically what I view as enlightenment. But when I considered it, what the show was about, I had to consider two things. The first thing was our marriage, which is evolving. And as we are becoming more enlightened, our relationship is becoming more enlightened. We are not regressing, we are progressing. And recently, Antoinette has been diving into so much different types of meditation and healing and the benefits of good eating
good thinking, good nutrients, good supplements. Antoinette's way of life over the past 2 years has become enlightened, you know, much more than the previous 10 years of our relationship. And so, as I let go of the past and look at the present, and based on our journey, I can have a foretaste of the future. And I believe that if we continue the way we are continuing together, you know, next year I would look forward, or the year after, I would look forward to saying, yes, we have an enlightened marriage. We are starting to meditate together. And we are starting to formulate a friendship, which to me is much more valuable than trying to maintain a romantic relationship when you're traveling the world and working together every day and dealing with the stresses of life. Sometimes romance is not at the top of the agenda.
Yeah.
But when you become friends, true friends, that is always at the top of the agenda. And working together and traveling together with a friend is always a pleasure. So I would say our gears have shifted and our evolution is in progress. The second thing I wanted to talk about, sorry to talk so much, Antoinette. The second thing I wanted to talk about was our partnership. Now, I believe that I am a zero. And I believe that Antoinette is a zero. But when I get together with God, I become 10. Because God is the one. When Antoinette and me move together as 2 zeros and we bring God into the picture, we become 100.
Yes.
You know, we don't become 11, we don't become 20, we become 10 times 10. And I have seen in our journey together that Antoinette is dynamic, creative, a social butterfly. She pulls people together. Sometimes I want to kind of be reclusive because when I'm performing, I'm out there 100%. But when I come out of the limelight, sometimes I want to just go into a corner. And half the time, Antoinette's dragging me along into the limelight again, and I'm following her. And she has created, she is the inspiration of our ministry. Because I felt like I was a minister, but I didn't feel like creating a ministry. Antoinette created the ministry. Our Edentia land project, I had a vision to do it, but it seemed so arduous a task that I said, I'm going to leave it on hold for 20, 30 years. And Antoinette said, no, let's put it out there and go for it now. So a lot of the things that we do as a team, you know, Antoinette really is the visionary, you know. But I must say, as a partnership, as a spiritual partnership on a mission, when we come together on a mission, we put everything else aside and we work together very, very dynamically. So I see divinity, I see enlightenment in the service we do, in the way we give to other people. And I don't so much see it from when we're doing it or creating it, but I see it from the way that people come back to us, the feedback we get from people, and the many, many lives that we have changed. So I want to say thank you, Scott, for creating this show, and for your team for creating this show. And thank you, Antoinette, for dragging me into this show and allowing me to have some time to really think about who we are, how we've grown, and what we do in an enlightened way.
I so appreciate your humility. And it's funny because enlightened is such a big word, and it can sound kind of pretentious, actually. You know, and I don't think anybody here claims to be enlightened. But I think we do have enlightened moments. And as Christy Michaels points out, the dictionary says enlightened means spiritually aware. And clearly, both of you are very spiritually aware with whatever you do, whether it's your ministry, your music, your activism, or your land. So, thank you for sharing that. Antoinette, what would you like to share?
He does this all it's he doesn't tell me things a lot of things, like he keeps to himself, and then I'll just kind of hear about it when he's speaking to you guys. So I had no idea that he was going to say any of this, and I'm like, what is he even talking about? But one of the reasons why I brought up the weather thing is because I was the one who told him years ago, because when we were doing shows, I said we're stronger together. And one time he did a show, he went off somewhere to do a show. You went off somewhere by yourself, right? It was in Florida, and the whole band, we were in Lake Tahoe to do a show. And he missed his flight, and something else happened, and we were all standing there. It's like, and he's headlining the show.
They canceled the press flight. Yeah.
They canceled the flight. Either way, we were all stuck there. So we have a 10-piece band, and there's no Pato, and he's ahead, and he's the only act for this whole reggae fest. And I'm like, what are we going to do? So we had to do like a whole Pato Bantan show without Pato Bantan. So we basically, none of us, so we all played the song, and the only thing that we knew was like the chorus, you know, and we played all the songs, and we just sang the chorus, and we just let the fans just kind of sing the song. But since all the fans knew the song, it was great, and everything was fine. But I told Pato, I said, you know something, we're stronger together. We should never ever separate when we have business to do, because you know the angels, he's the one who introduced me to the Urantia book. He's the one who showed me. It's like when we've got, if everybody's got a pair of angels, if I've got a pair and he's got a pair, that means we've got 4 angels hanging out with us all the time. Why would you want to split up that pair? We're stronger together. So ever since then, I said, we're never missing any more shows if we're always there together. And that's how we end up traveling and doing everything together. And then that's when the weather angels started coming in. And I noticed our 4 pairs of angels, we've never had to cancel a show. We never got rained out, even when it says 100% chance of rain. Even if it's raining on us, either the sky is going to open up and then it's going to rain on everybody else, or we're still going to continue, but nothing ever gets in our way. And I'm saying that's because the angels are on our side and we're stronger together. I've always believed this. I've always believed this, and I've always known this. Even when he had doubts, and even when he wasn't sure about anything, I said, listen, you're the one who told me about the God fragment within our minds. You're the one who said, if there's an issue, I'm going to have my thought adjuster talk to your thought adjuster. I'm not even going to talk to you about this. I'm just going to be like, my people going to talk to your people. You know, my God inside is going to talk to your God inside, and then they'll sort it out. Because obviously, if we're not understanding, you know, they sort it out. But I know there's a bigger picture. I've always seen the bigger picture. Even if he doesn't see the bigger picture, I've always seen the bigger picture, because I've always seen, I saw what we did with the ministry. I saw what we were doing with the land. And every time I tell him something, I said, Pato, you know, me and you are studying together. We, you know, there's other people. If we just kind of like opened it up and like talked to other people, it took him years to even entertain the idea, you know, about, you know, having a Zoom and having people study with us. I mean, years I was going at, I was like, Pato, come on. And he wasn't sure about, you know, like how
Actually, it was 1 year.
It felt like years. We were still, how long I was telling him that we should be doing this. We were on Skype. They had already gone on to Zoom. I had been telling him from Skype we were supposed to be doing this Skype. Remember? Yeah. We had the first Skype meeting.
You know, what I'm really hearing is the beauty of how you complement each other, you know, and, you know, it's beautiful how Pato acknowledged that you're the one who makes things happen that are beyond, what he can imagine. And you're such a doer, Antoinette. And it's beautiful watching how you two do co-create. I want to read one quote from Roger and Bonnie, then I'm going to bring Christy on to see if she's got a thought or a question. And I know you have a video to show also. But Roger and Bonnie write, Pato and Antoinette, you touch our hearts in so many ways, and you enlighten us in ways we never expected. From the beginning of our experience with you and your music, and now reading the Urantia book, which you've introduced us to, it's opened up doors we were always in search of. Bless you, your music, and your ministry. We love you. So I think Roger and Bonnie speak for a lot of us. This is my co-host for the show, Christy Michaels. And she has been doing every year for 13 years, starting with Barbara Marks Hubbard, when Barbara was still alive, programs on Enlightened Partners in this time of year. And so, Christy, do you have any thoughts or a question for Pato and Antoinette?
Yes, and thank you so much for your honest sharing, Pacho. And it's not just you, other people have mentioned it too. It seems like enlightened or being enlightened is like a daunting word, like, oh my God. But really, when you look at the dictionary definition of it, it's really just spiritual awareness. And that's doable, right? And it's also, you missed the part when we started the show, we did some divine feminine stuff, and I did and talked about it, kind of laid the foundation. So when you get the YouTube, you could watch that. But we talk about being above the line, which is being in that higher consciousness. And Pacho and Antoinette, you guys are above the line because you know your purpose. And your purpose is to serve, and your purpose is to share and extend the love. You have the love between each other, but you're generous in sharing and extending that love out to everyone. I've watched you in person and online with this ability to be so free. You're not afraid of being sacred. And my hat's off to you, Pato, because you also are willing to honor the divine mother energy, the mother spirit energy. And because you've allowed that to be acceptable and integrated, you can embrace Antoinette, who's just like totally down with that. And she understands that's where the joy is. The mother creates, right? And so she's free to be the creative, but you have her back. You support her, and the two of you together. I love the 100 because you're tenfold more powerful because you're willing to share and extend that love, and you put the word out, the vibration of love. You share it, and it's such a powerful example. So when Scott said he was inviting you guys to be on the show with us, I was just like, yes, because you're not afraid to say and honor that which is sacred and holy. And it becomes less scary because, my experience with it's way more fun, isn't it? When you're really in your heart and you're just singing and dancing and caring and loving on people, it's so much more fun. And that's what Enlightened World is all about. It's about being more fun and more love. And being connected to that love, that source love, so that you're not having to get it from him or he's got to get it from you. It's just this beautiful, wonderful way that you're being both sovereign, both present. So anyway, I love you guys so much. And I really thank you for your dedication to the Divine Mother and all the work that you're doing globally. It's amazing.
I'm also going to just really acknowledge for a moment Andrew and Connie, because they're another, what you were talking about, Christy, they also embody that. Of course, we've seen Andrew and Connie on the show recently, and they're going to be in Los Angeles as well.
Oh, wonderful.
But I saw that they were with us, and I just wanted to acknowledge Andrew and Connie as another couple that clearly are living an enlightened partnership.
Yeah, not so hard as we may think, and we've had so many wonderful examples tonight on the show of people that are, like you said, Scott, having these enlightened moments.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that Antoinette, you said you've got a video to show us tonight. Yeah.
Thank you. And real quick, before we show this video, I do want to explain to you, Christy, Patso is the one who actually introduced the Divine Mother to me many years ago. So this whole thing about the like relationships, which was very interesting because people who knew me before, like Scott, you know, my friend Doobie he knew me from before. There's like people who knew me from before and knew me from before. Like what you're kind of seeing now is like the Antoinette, like who I'm evolving into now. But the Antoinette before, pre-Pato Antoinette, was the Brooklyn FU Antoinette, you know, the back days, back in Brooklyn days, until I got to California. And then there was still another Antoinette. It's kind of like I've gone through, like I've shifted through different types of phases within my own life, you know, so like becoming a minister was definitely not one of those things. You know, studying the Urantia book was not one of those things, and learning about the Divine Mother was not one of those things. And when Pato Satner said, when he even spoke to us about becoming ministers, we all thought he was joking. These things were not within our own lives. So like us as a partner, like where we are today is not where we were before, but we came in together on not on a spiritual relationship. We came together on just on a working relationship that turned into a sexual relationship. And I wasn't looking for spirituality, but he never forced those things on me. And he never told me I needed to read the Urantia book. I needed to study about spirituality. I need to learn about the mother. These things were never forced on me. And I was never told, you know, don't drink, don't smoke, don't party, don't do this, don't do all those things, all the things that I hated about church. You know, he just allowed me to be who I was, you know, and that's one of the things I think is very important when we talk about relationships and things like that, is that when you meet someone, you already know the type of person that you're coming into already, instead of changing a person, allowing a person to be able to change themselves, because that's part of free will. And that's something that's part of spirituality as well, too. Nobody ever wants to be with somebody who wants to tell you what to do or makes you want to be something else, unless it's something that you want to be of freely and you want to be able to do that way. And those relationships don't work.
Thank you, Antoinette. Before we play the video, I just want to say thank you everyone here for joining this program today. It's so awesome to see so many beautiful faces, so many people I know. I want to say thank you to everyone that's spoken so far. Thank you for the music. Everyone that's done some music, especially what was it, Fanny
Vigari.
Yes, thank you guys so much for that.
Omashar here too.
And Omashar, always Omashar. And one of the most touching moments of this show so far for me has been when Fanny was playing the song, and I saw Connie turn around and give Andrew a loving kiss.
I love them so much. They're the cutest couple.
When she did that, was that a part of the music? I don't know what chord they were playing, but I felt the chord in my heart. And as I was feeling it, I saw her just turn around and kiss him, which was the same feeling. You know, she kind of expressed it right in front of me. So thank you guys, you know.
When you guys come, we are going to have a wedding rehearsal party you know, for Connie and Andrew, because that was so beautiful. I always thought you guys were married all this time. You know, so,
you know what, we are not married in the eyes of the divine. We are, but we never had a celebration of our love together. After 30 years, we don't have children, and it's just extraordinary to meet people like you. And Vigari was just telling me that he opened for one of your shows at one time in the past. He played with the Alpha Diallo, was it?
No, it was a different band.
Oh, okay. So he said he opened for you once, because Vigari,
awesome, my brother.
Yeah, he traveled the world with his band while I was clowning around like a divine queen. And it was quite something for Vigari to hang out with all his musicians friends, that Vigari gets to know this white girl that plays on the street her guitar, and she's fun. So it was a whole process for us to stay together so long and to love each other just the way we are, knowing that that love is divine and that as long as we dance and sing.
Yeah, it's been an adventure, and it's been, quite a learning process for me. And, I just never cease to be amazed by you.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Blessings. All right, you want to introduce the video?
All right, so this is our
You got to share the sound.
yeah, share screen, okay.
Audio.
This is our wedding video.
Oh, I love this video. I was hoping that's
In
great.
LA. We're gonna
I
have
love
so
this
much fun in
video.
LA. Everybody coming down to the conversions, we're gonna have so much fun. All right, there.
Can everyone see the video?
Yeah, but you got to make it full screen.
Yeah, click the green.
Yeah, make it full screen.
All
There we
right,
go.
there we go.
We see the limo.
We see the limo. We're next.
See the limo.
Is that next?
Here we go.
Yeah, I love this video. It's great.
All right. Can you guys see that now?
Yes, we see you, but you still got to make it full screen.
Yep, here we go. And start it from the top, full screen. You got that?
Yeah.
California, I now pronounce you Mr. and Mrs. Pato Bonton.
You're my queen and I'm your king, and it's a beautiful thing. When two people come together as one.
I give you this ring
I give you this ring, this expensive ring.
as a promise of my commitment to you.
This very expensive ring.
Now is the time and now is the moment. And I do promise, that we're going to the mansion both together all the way to paradise. But I also promise to let you know.
Can I do mine again? The left side a couple things. Where's that contract?
I so love that video. Because I knew you were coming from Brazil, there was the part of me that was in the awareness that, you might not make it. And so I actually had that queued up because I thought if you didn't make it, I'll do a little speech about you and the video. But now I got the best of both worlds. I got the real you and the video. And there's a lot of lines in that song that are really what the show tonight is all about.
Yes.
About having a shoulder to lean on, and really coming together as one, remembering and helping each other remember that we are the eternal beloved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Well, thank you so much. Now, listen, everybody, we are all going to be together. Pato and Antoinette, Shri and Kara, myself, Omashar, we're all going to be together in Los Angeles. And so it's going to be pretty incredible. We're all going to be together starting on the 28th of March at the LA Convergence. And I'll actually show that to people.
At the Wisdom.
Yep.
At the Wisdom. And what are you guys going to be doing at the Wisdom? Tell us a little bit about that.
All right.
You want to tell them and I put the chat thing in there?
So at the Wisdom, we are doing a presentation about Ubuntu. I'm actually also responsible for stage management. So I'm going to be coordinating all the artists, making sure that everybody gets what they need, equipment they need, and that the show runs smoothly, the speakers all run smoothly. Antoinette is heavily involved in also coordinating the event. Antoinette will be performing a set before my set. And then I will be performing. We got a surprise show set up, so I can't tell you too much about that. But the following day, we are going to have the trip to Edentia.
Mhm.
And people will be able to come and walk with us on the land, to hike with us and experience the land. We're also going to be planting a peace pole from Femi on the land as well. So we're going to do a peace pole ceremony We're going to have a bus, a beautiful big 56-seater bus leaving from LA. That will also be on the Unity Earth website this coming week, to let people know how to get their tickets for the seat. And yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing. We've got Bella Gaia coming to perform a beautiful video
The whole
performance.
NASA space.
Yeah, and Christine Hoffman. What's the Indian girl's name? Lila.
No, Lila June.
Lila June.
Lila June, sure, she's been on the show.
Yeah, she's coming to perform.
And I hope people caught it. Kristen Hoffman, our beloved Kristen Hoffman, who co-hosts the show with me like once every couple of months. In fact, she and I are driving out together from Sedona. I'm in Sedona now for the month. And she and I are driving out right after the Evolutionary Leaders Network for this incredible LA Convergence. I put the link into the chat box, but again, here it is. If you just go to Unity Earth, you'll find the LA Convergence featuring Pato and Antoinette and Kristen Hoffman and Shri and Kira. It's going to be incredible. And that's on Tuesday, March 28th, all afternoon and evening, from 2 p.m. until midnight. And then the next day, going out to Pato and Antoinette's land. And then we roll right into the Global Peace Tribe events. And on Sunday, that Sunday, April 2nd, Pato is going to lead the Sacred Sundays show, both live and online for people who can't join us, because he is an amazing minister who shares the wisdom of the Urantia book, which we've heard how it changed, how it's inspired Antoinette, it's inspired Roger and Bonnie and so many of our friends.
Yes.
I also want to mention it as well too for this LA Convergence. This is going to be, we're also doing the global spotlight, which is Ubuntu. There's going to be stuff from the Hollow movement. So there's going to be global things. And it's for a lot of those that don't know about Unity Earth and these convergences, these have mostly been private all these years, you know, that we've been working with Ben for over 10 years. So for this event to actually be public, it gives everybody an opportunity to actually see what all these organizations are actually doing. And you can actually get involved. It's like you could get on the global peace train, like literally physically get on the global things that you want to do. You can participate in all these organizations. And then there's also the local spotlight organizations that we're going to be shining the spotlight on as well too. As like, what are the wonderful and happening things that's happening inside of California? It's like, we're not just talking about online, we're doing it like in person and activities. So for those who are coming out to visit Edentia with us, you know, like us as a host, if you've never been to one of our parties or one of our events or one of our gatherings, this is really going to be amazing, because when we host something, it is so much fun. It is so entertaining. There's so much life on this land. I can't even wait, because Alexander's going to be doing a blessing on the land. We're doing the peace pole. It's going to be that we saw the rainbow. We've created a vortex on there. I mean, what more can we possibly do and show them in the state of California what sustainability can look like when you've got people who are sitting there saying, we want to do something progressive here in this state. We're not trying to like have just something just for our own selves. This is for the community. This is for the people.
It's going to be incredible. I can't wait. And hopefully as many of our Global Peace Tribers are going to be able to join us. And of course, for those who can't, we will do our best to broadcast as much of this out online through the Awakening World. If you two can stick around for another 5 minutes, I want to introduce you to this wonderful other couple that's part of our show, Jamishka. And they're going to come on next and play a little music and talk about their work. And I think you'll really enjoy them. And also just a final reminder that you can get all things Pato Banton by going to his website, which is officialpatobanton.com. officialpatobanton.com. He's got so many beautiful videos. Of course, we've played the Martin Luther King video a few times on the Awakening World. His Brothers and Sisters video is beautiful. Go Pato, which was #1 hit in Brazil. And of course, you can learn all about the upcoming gigs that they've got coming up. They're going to be in Lake Elsinore, right by where we're going to be going out to a few days before we all gather at the Wisdom. So definitely go to officialpatobanton.com.
Oh, Scott,
one more thing.
Sure.
I just put it into the chat.
Oh, Bandcamp.
Yes. Oh, okay. So, and just like we always encourage people to get music from Omashar, music from Fanny and Vigari at Bandcamp, likewise, go to patobantonofficial.bandcamp.com.
Well, Scott,
So what we want to let everyone know is
stay there, yeah.
The
The
first
first
six albums are free.
Wow.
Right now.
We just released the URI album, We're All in This Together, the one with the gold map.
Mm-hmm.
That's got 32 songs on it from spiritual artists from around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's actually just was released yesterday, and it is free of charge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that is so generous of you guys.
All
Wow.
6 albums, and that's including the Stand Up for Justice one.
There's a list of amazing songs from spiritual groups, choirs, the Jewish community, our Muslim community. It's just an amazing array of music from different cultures and different languages. And it is also an award-winning album. We got the Hermes Award for this album. And the Unity Earth album is also on there for free with all the songs we've created with Unity Earth. And the Words of Christ album is 50 tracks. There's 50 lessons from Jesus, free of charge. And Antoinette's beautiful meditation music is on there too. So check it out.
And the Martin Luther King, all the compilations that we did.
That was another global album with artists from around the world singing songs about Martin Luther King. All of those albums are for free now.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I did not know this. This is news for me, and I know I'm going to immediately download those. God, I love you two so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Love you too. We love you, Scott. Man.
Love you, Scott.
Thank you so much for being on our show. Enjoy Jamishka, because they are really a beautiful couple as well. And hey, Jamishka, how are you two doing?
We're doing great. It is such a divine pleasure to be here in such amazing company, as always, and especially for this episode.
Yeah,
it's truly an honor to be here.
It's amazing going Michael and Kamala Devi, and then Fanny and Vigari, and then Pato and Antoinette, and now you two. It is really delightful for all of us to meet each other. I love mix and matching. And anyway, what do you guys have for us?
So we chose this next song. It's one of our classic favorites because it's one of the ones that most intertwines both of us in a really continual way. And with that, and also one more reason, is that we were inspired earlier by the discussions of couples, and then also sometimes when that produces a third being, we also have a child.
That's right. You have a beautiful little girl.
Exactly. And she often participates, and she gets to pick and choose from all of the materials that we've handed to her and through us, and she can do what she does. And it's a beautiful honor for us as well.
And through our partnership, especially in this song, in honoring our partnership with our greater community and with Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is called Indigo Child.
Indigo child,
Indigo child, why so blue? Why so blue? The world that you live in, world that you swim in is oh so blue, oh so blue. The color of my eyes is where our house of stars collide, watching as they open glowing embers in the sky. Oceans moving, oceans moving, time, 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 time. She gazes into the waters that carry her deeply. He gazes into the waters that carry him deeply.
do you go? River, how do you flow? Star singer, what do you know? Pray do tell me, pray do tell, pray do tell me, pray do tell. I pray for all the rivers and the lakes and the oceans who know the love of man and of the one heart devotion. May we grow to understand the needs of earth and emotion. Tame the raging fires and give up our greed for the potion. Whoa, the potion, I want the potion, the beautiful potion. Whoa, the potion. The one heart elixirs for despair and for glory. Tears fall like diamonds in this never-ending story. The return of the light and the name that is remembered will restore us all to oneness in the long cold December. Keep on dancing.
Indigo, 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 go.
Join in from where you are.
Indigo, in the now we know.
Indigo, 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 go. Indigo, indigo, in the now we know. Indigo, 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 go. Indigo, indigo, in the now we know.
In our mind is of time experiential as the music in this rhyme beyond tick-tock sequential. There's nothing to define as we sit inside the trickle, moving silent as I find through all the layers into portals of the one
True love. This is my one true love. We are the one true love, one love, one love, one love. One love, one love, one love. One love, one love, one love. One love, one love, one love.
Oh, wow. As I'll go to gallery view in a twinkle, that was just absolutely delightful. Absolutely beautiful. Wow.
A delight to share.
I want to,
Such
I
special
want
company.
to, I want to read something that just came in from Dorina. She's one of our viewers coming to us from Ecuador. And she wrote something that I'd like for you two to comment on. She says, it seems like in the realm of enlightened partnerships, an important part of the significant relationships with human and animal children often remains overlooked or even omitted. Wouldn't it be more holistic to include children and pets and companions in the overall sphere of enlightened partners? As a result, it's so wonderful to see and hear Indigo Child right now from Jamishka, and to see Jasmine Bear, my puppy, and other animals and children to be part of our Global Peace Tribe shared experience. So thank you for pointing that out, Dorina. And yeah, thank you for bringing the little ones in. My girl, she's Sleepy Girl, sleeping right by me. Here's to represent our animal one. Sorry, I woke you up, dear. I still get a kiss. I appreciate that. That's pretty good.
You wanna come over?
And I have a feeling you're reaching for your Indigo Child.
Well, we have two.
Oh, you're punched her. You're getting kisses from yours.
Brought him at the various.
Oh, there she is. She's beautiful. Can you control the light so that instead of it being blue, it's the brighter light?
Well, it's an ever-changing.
It'll continue changing.
Just like life, ever-changing.
It's on a cycle.
Yeah,
We've grown to love it.
Going through all the colors of the rainbow.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
It's our spokespup.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Here you go.
So
that's a wonderful observation. So that's, yeah, we could. I would say, if I may say for both of us, we couldn't agree more. And it's an ever-changing, evolving part of our journey, and it wouldn't be the same without it. All the different parts are important, every bit of it.
So what is your kind of tip for people about remaining spiritually aware. Oh, here comes Jasmine Beer back. Remaining spiritually aware while creating music together, while taking care of a child, while taking care of puppies, while being entrepreneurial. What are some of your tips to stay in that spiritual awareness?
Gosh. Well, I will say, and actually, I would like to stop my video just for a moment. So stop the video so you guys can see this this piece in our frame here. This it's a cropping of a painting I made the year before James and I became partners.
Or met, even met.
And I often joke about it being the piece the painting I painted him into existence with. And for me, it was originally a commission, and someone who had seen my work at a gallery had asked if I could paint the Divine Union. And literally the meeting came on the heels of a recent breakup for me. And so I was in the throes of grief at the time, and I was feeling very raw, and I felt like this was the angels in the universe just bringing me this medicine for me to contemplate what the divine union really meant. Because at the time, I feel like I was so self-identified in the partnership that I was in previously that I needed to come into my own sovereignty as a human with the balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within myself, and becoming whole into that place in myself. And it was a 1.5 year process, an alchemical process of sitting with this kind of meditation and creating the painting in that way. And lo and behold, 10 days after I released this painting to our community, with all of the invocations that I had written for it, James and I came together as partners. And I had used some of the pieces in this painting when I did the feminine features. I used a bright light on my face, and I was trying to get the lighting just right, and then I completely made up this masculine counterpart, and everyone kept asking, who is the man? Who's the man? I said, well, it's not really about the man. it's the divine feminine and masculine, and being able to mirror each other's brilliant qualities, and also the falcon, because that is a more Egyptian way of representing that in that painting. There's also the falcon, which there's this Isis and Osiris story. If people are familiar with it, people might recognize that. And the falcon represented their child, the god Horus, that they birthed the sun. And so Isa, we always told Isa,
she's
from
like,
a
that's
young
me.
age, whenever we showed the painting, she says, I'm the falcon, that's me.
And keep in mind, while this was all happening, we were on the same scene, on the West Coast festival scene, and general just West Coast scene of performance and entertainment and everything, independently for 4 years, on the same scene with, before Facebook, hundreds of friends in common. That were shocked that we had never met, and then very quickly we figured out that we were a lot more together than we were already even building up, but still very much deeply respecting each other's work now and then. And but it's really, really fun. So for us, we have a lot of built-in magic with the beginning of our union that makes it really easy to come back to remember that. It doesn't mean it's easy all the time, but that's something that helps us a lot. We even had a couple little zingers in the beginning where we had 3 days in a row that we realized we had done a lot of the main things. And the one in the middle of those days was the day that we said our first I love yous. And we realized that a month later, we looked back and realized that that date was exactly on 11/11/11.
Wow.
And so we definitely interpreted that as a sign. And so, yeah, we definitely rolled with that one. And we're actually now just celebrated our 11th year together in marriage.
But to
yeah.
answer your question too about, tips and that kind
Do
of
that.
thing
Just kidding.
that we could offer, I think that a lot of what has worked really well for us in our partnership, and I think that there's a lot of different kinds of partnership, is
Even just for
that
us.
each of us individually and together, our primary mission really is to create lasting beauty and to help
And to share it.
people to connect with the spiritual, to connect with the mystic, but the mystic heart. And it's just such a joy to be able to do that together. And I don't think that I would have been able to come into partnership with him if I wasn't already feeling deeply empowered in myself to be able to create in that way. And another really powerful part of it for us has been sharing mutual appreciation and admiration for each other on a regular basis.
We have one of the classic rules, and we really love the variation we heard before. We love at the end of each night the classic idea of that, never let the sun set on something negative. So if ever something's happening that we're frustrated by or anything that's going in that regard,
Don't go to bed angry.
we have a quite strict rule that whatever that is, we're going to, put it in the drawer for figuring out later, and to always end each day, and especially when going to sleep. Really enjoyed the discussions about the energetic realm that we create when we go to sleep, especially together, especially when we're in that same space, to make sure we're going in a good way.
It's fun too because actually we feel like babies amongst all of these couples that have been together for 20 years, 30 years, and we're on our 11th year.
Epic.
And we get to see just how far we've come so far in our evolution as a couple, and how much, how many different phases and forms of existence we still have yet to experience. And
always feeling both, feeling like it's been forever, and also like we're just starting. And clearly that also continues over the years.
But one of the shifts I noticed in deciding and committing, which is a big deal, to really fully 100% commit. Because if it's 99%, it's just
mostly
what they say, 99%. Yeah, it's trouble. But when we decided to commit to each other as lifelong partners, there was this sense of relief and this sense of urgency that evaporated, that I used to feel a lot in my previous relationships, that there's things that we come up against as a couple, issues we need to resolve, things that we need to figure out and learn through and grow through, and that we're able to give ourselves and each other enough time and the patience to be able to let that unfold. Just like when we're creating something too, there's less urgency in being able to allow that deeper surrender to a process that's much bigger than us, much bigger than each of us.
And on the creation level, just because asking for specific shares of what we could see as advice, I would say as we've both always been extremely creative and extremely driven towards seeking, creating, and sharing beauty since way before each other, other than a few lifetimes together. And what I would say is, I think the fact that we both know that that's the core of who we are individually, and that we have that sense of mission, and it shows up in different ways, some small, some big, it rotates around, that's all fine. We have to accept that as creatives. But that dedication to that craft and bringing and honing that beauty and sharing that beauty with our world continuously is something that we always can come back to, that we know we feel as individuals, and that we also recognize whether it's supporting each other, lifting each other's creativity, or are specifically intertwined. And we go back and forth with them all the time. But that founding groundation is what, it's sort of like the individual, the burning need to create that kind of thing. But we both have that for reasons of wanting to contribute and wanting to participate. And I think that makes a big difference, that we can always have that to return to whenever things feel anything other than focused.
I'm loving so many of the things you're saying, and thank you for teaching a new word, groundation.
I just taught it to myself.
I'm having a Mr. Rogers moment right now. That is a great word, groundation.
It just happened.
Foundation. Really?
Oh yeah, never said it before.
Well,
You brought it out on us.
I'm going to utilize it. It's wonderful. I love that. You know, you talk also about, obviously you create beauty through your music. You create beauty through your daughter. And also we got a little taste of the beauty that you create through your art. And I just really want to take people to her website, ishkala.com, ishkala.com. And this is where she has original paintings, prints, and even treasures that they create together. And I guess it's primarily her artwork with your masculine support, holding space for her. But having looked at your website before, there's so many, I mean, just exquisite paintings, very, very visionary. And so this is all available at the Art of Ishkala. And again, it's ishkala.com. I've put that link into the Zoom room for our Zoom roomers. And, you know, your artwork is truly, truly exquisite and beautiful.
I agree, and I'm biased. We
Now, are
create
you
many
still-
different kinds of visual work in general, but the paintings and that website is Ishka's deliverance.
So much beauty, your music, your daughter, your puppy, and your artwork. Thank you so much for being a big part of tonight's show. You bring a lot of beauty in all the ways that you express yourself, whether it's verbally just now or musically. I'm really, really grateful that you agreed to be with us tonight.
And the company we're in, couldn't be more honored. Couldn't be more honored.
Well, that's a good segue because we're going to go back to our final couple for the evening, and that's Connie and Andrew. Now, I want to acknowledge that originally we were going to have Renee and Anthony on the show tonight, but they're moving today, and they did a pre-recorded video. But honestly, when I can have live couple like Connie and Andrew, I said to Christy, hey, let's do a little interview with Connie and Andrew. So we'll have Renee and Anthony on the show again sometime, not too far from now, because they're wonderful. And many of you saw them. They were on our show a couple weeks ago when I was at the Conscious Life Expo. But the two of you were together as partners for 20 years. And then after 20 years together, you got married 8 weeks ago. And you have written about the Dance of Souls. You've created this amazing vision of the trust frequency. So tell us about Enlightened Partnership. And I'm going to remove myself and Christy so we can see the book and see that even more clearly. Tell us about your work together.
Well, we met at the Omega Institute, actually at the Omega Point, at the Omega Institute in upstate New York in 2003, in October of 2003. And it was immediately obvious that we had destiny together. And tell him just a bit about.
Well, here's the thing. That beautiful young lady we just were hanging out with here. Thank you, the previous couple. You're just divine. Thank you so much. And that painting where you actually created your husband. Well, I'm not a painter. I am a painter, but I do digital work. So it was a novel. I wrote a novel about a boy who fell in love with a girl named Connie. 5 years before we met, I'd been working on this novel, and there's a dog involved. There's a dog involved, but the dog was a robot. The book is called Rodriguez and the Electric Dog. And his companion was this robot dog that his daddy made for him. That's a whole long story. But when I met Connie at Omega, and we were in a gathering of wisdom keepers of Indigenous elders, and I said, "What's your name?" She said, "Connie." And I said, interesting. I'm writing a book about a girl named Connie, but it was in London. It was 1968. She says, "I was in London in 1968." So stuff like that. So in a certain sense, I created this being. Here's what's really ridiculous. I was 28 years into a relationship with the beautiful woman I call my beloved former spouse. We have 5 kids together. She's fabulous, but I was too much for her, and the 5 kids were probably too much for her as well. So long story short, she wanted me gone, and it was tough on the relationship. I literally thought my love life was over. I thought that sexuality, romance, those kinds of things were a thing of the past. So I wrote myself into being in love with a fictitious girl named Connie, and then she walked straight into my life, became my wife. And we took 20 years for that process. Go figure.
And it was so obvious in our first conversation because he was very involved in consciousness as a young man in his 20s. And as he told me this story, not only that he was in love with a girl named Connie, but that he was wondering what it was going to take for humanity to make this leap in consciousness that I was very aware of and committed to. And I'm like, okay, this is the man for me. Who else thinks in these terms? And so it was just, we were told actually, shortly after we met that we were twin souls.
Twin flames.
Twin flames.
I don't know what the difference is, but that was the term.
And we were both filmmakers, photographers. We got right to work making a film called In Search of the Future. What do the wise ones know?
I had the incredible privilege. I said to Connie, I grew up in South Africa, and my mom was very much alive at the time. I said, "You have to come meet my mom and the rest of my family in South Africa." So we went and did that. And then I said, next step, we're going to the Kalahari to meet the Bushmen of the Kalahari, those little people in The Gods Must Be Crazy. Remember them? Remember that film?
I do remember that.
So I had this extraordinary experience of taking Connie there to meet my friends. And how was that for you?
I've never been so loved on in my life as by the Bushmen of the Kalahari. They just stroked me and loved on me.
They're very, very physical. They express their affection physically. Partly, I think, because we don't, especially with Connie, you did not have a language in common.
No.
You really couldn't speak to each other. I could, because I speak Afrikaans, Dutch, and we could communicate in that language. So we got to work, we made that film, and 20 years later, guess what? We're making the sequel to the film. One was In Search of the Future. You can check it out online. In Search of the Future movie.com. In Search of the Future, what do the wise ones know? We went to the indigenous elders, the wisdom keepers.
That we've known for 20 to 40 years. So they're saying extraordinary stuff in this film. So we really highly recommend that one
And
watch.
now the new film, and I wrote the executive summary for it. Somebody's microphone's open, if we can be aware of that. I wrote the executive summary back in 2007 for the film that we're about to start shooting. And we're going to be shooting it in LA. We're going to be shooting it in Sedona. We're going to be shooting it. The film actually, the first film opened in the Kalahari with the Bushmen. The second film opens in Australia with the Aborigines. So think about that.
So we have a GoFundMe to help us get
So
to
we're
Australia. If
working- we're
anybody's
working-
interested.
we're working
Our
on that.
honeymoon film
We have one-
GoFundMe.
We have one ticket that's left over from some travel miles I have, but I think she wants to take me. You want me to come too? I think so.
They're your travel miles.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, it's all very exciting to be embarking on the film again. And it's the only way out is up. In Search of the Future, the only way out is up to a higher level of consciousness, which, Scott, you are so serving with this show, and all that you bring to the world through this show is that evolution of consciousness. And we're just eternally grateful
Well,
to
thank you.
in indefatigable, what's the, what's
Indefatigable.
indefatigable
It's a wonderful
work you do,
Well,
Scott.
Not get
I'm going to
fatigued.
read a few comments that have come in. While I'm doing that, pull up the GoFundMe and put the link to the GoFundMe in the chat box, and then I'll click on it. But there are some comments I want to read, and then I want to ask you about the Dance of Souls. Dr. Laura writes, okay, that's it. I'm painting a picture and writing about my future love tonight. So inspired by both Jamishka and you. Ayada writes, Andrew, that story just brings tears to my eyes, especially after Jamishka's story and Ishka's painting. So much sweetness and inspiration tonight. And Roger and Bonnie talk about how we met after I surrendered the search to God and trusted we would meet the right person at the right time. Now, Roger and Bonnie both had previous relationships that passed away. So they were widowed and widower. As it turned out, Roger checked off every box I created in my mind of the ideal partner, about 12 different things. And it turned out we were both empaths, reading each other's minds. There's no way we can be anything but completely honest with each other. And I had the honor of living with them in Sedona when they came to our Sedona retreat. Hopefully they'll come down to LA. So thank you for those comments. And thank you for everybody's comments. I know I didn't get a chance to read everybody's today because we have so much going on. I am going to bring Christy back on for a minute also. And tell us a little bit about the Dance of Souls, since it's, this is a relationship show and you've got this incredible creation, the Dance of Souls, the relationship revolution. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well,
Where should we start with that one? Let us assure you that even after 20 years as fiance and fiancée engaged, there is still somehow, for some reason, there's still work to do. There's always stuff. It would appear that the purpose of relationships is spiritual growth.
Yep.
Anybody here going to buy that one?
Yep.
Means that when this beautiful mirror walks into my life, what I'm looking at is myself. The beautiful female, the feminine, divine aspect of myself. And when she looks into my eyes, I suspect she sees something like the masculine equivalent of that.
yes,
And so there's work to do. And some of that work's not easy. So there are times it gets, it's like, but somehow we make it through. We both, by the way, obviously came out of other relationships. We had 8 children between us. I had 5, Connie has 3. And the first months we had the fantasy that, we'd done all the tough stuff. We called the former husbands and wife.
our spice.
The plural of spouse is spice, so we called them our spice. And they were the spice of life. And those relationships had left us free and clear, and we could move ahead with no obstacles whatsoever. How wrong could we be? The Dance of Souls engaged because we appear to have made a pre-incarnation agreement to come here, find each other.
Absolutely. To see our light and our shadow. See, this is the key piece, is moving from victim to beloved and understanding that we came with an overarching act of free will onto the planet to do this work, to move to self-love and self-acceptance and alignment with our divinity and our purpose. So we gave permission to the conscious loving universe to take us on that journey. And so our relationships with the universe, with ourselves and with others shows us this light, but also the shadow that we don't love, the parts of ourselves we don't love yet. And when we get to the place where we thank that person for showing us that, instead of saying, you're bad and wrong, I hate you, get out of my life, say, thank you very much. I guess I still have some work to do because of this repeating behavior that I've manifested in my life and in my relationships. So that's the essence of it, is that we have shadow work to do to keep up with the earth. The earth is moving into a higher frequency, and we have work to do to keep up with her. And so we've got to get this shadow stuff out. We've got to get out of this victim perpetrator energy and model and understand that there is, in fact, only love. And it's free will that has asked this loving universe to take us on this journey. So we take you on that journey in this course. And we just hope that you sign up and take it. And anybody who wants it, just send us an email and we'll give it to you at half price.
Fabulous. Wow.
What it does is it transforms you from victim to beloved.
To beloved.
Think of that for a subtle shift. Ever heard that term? I'm a victim of circumstance. Well, guess what? Circumstance loves us and is actually here to guide us. So we are beneficiaries of circumstance. So the process of the dance of souls, as you dance, you move from any victimhood that you have in your history into the state of beloved. And I want to go back to our previous couple, and I want to say this statement in Arabic. Ishkala, mabud lillah. And you remember the Ishkala part? Ishkala, God is love, lover, and beloved. So the dance of souls is experiencing all of those elements in an integrated, fully formed human being.
And the process, and just don't think it's an easy ride. And one's ego that got us to the place where we are is saying, no, 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 we're fine, we're happy, we're smart. When in fact, underneath, we feel not so smart, not so okay. And we've got to move into that love of all of us so we can bring the gift to the party that we promised to bring to the party, which is all of us, not just the part that we think people want to see or our culture wants to see or our daddy or our mommy or whoever. We've got to bring all of us to the party. So that's our Dance of Souls story.
That's us.
And
well, thank you. You know, I've coached over 1,000 couples in the last 25 years. And it's just a joy for me to have Fanny and Vigari and Jamishka and Connie and Andrew. And of course, there are the two couples, Pato and Antoinette, and Kamala Devi and Michael as examples of couples doing the work. And it is work. But when we are in that humble, surrendered place, which I think we've seen with all of these couples, all of you have expressed your humility, that you're still working on that hard stuff. And remember, the greater the light, the greater the shadow. And the more that we enlighten, the more that our shadow comes up for us to see and to work with. And you've modeled beautifully how to work with that. I do want to encourage people that you can support Connie and Andrew's honeymoon and film fund by going to the GoFundMe, and I will donate tonight, I promise.
Sweet. Thank you, you guys.
Absolutely. And the link again is in the Zoom room. That's why everybody watching on Facebook, join the Global Peace Tribe. Come on in. You can still come on in. Go to globalpeacetribe.com, and then you can get all the links. You can save the chat and get all the links that we've been showing. I want to give Christy a chance for any final thoughts, and then we're going to go to Fanny and Vigari to close us out with some music. But Christy, what are your thoughts? What do you want to share?
Well, Barbara Marx Hubbard is rocking and rolling on the other side. She's just going, yes, the deeper conversation. We've had the deeper conversation. But, you know, somebody put in the comment section there about what fun it is. And this is the thing about it. Yes, the shadow is not fun to deal with in the moment, but that passes because of the commitment of the heart and the wisdom of the heart. So we look at it, we acknowledge it, we understand it's there, we feel our feelings, we don't deny them, but then we can choose once again what we really want. And all of you beautiful souls have chosen once again. You've chosen the light, you've chosen the love, but not only just for yourselves, you've chosen it for us. I have felt so loved up by all of you, and you've touched my heart, opened my heart. It's like you've shared and extended, and you know, they say that what we're supposed to be doing is heaven on earth, right? It's not heaven in the heavens, it's heaven on earth, but we can only do that if we're open-minded, willing to share and extend our love. And so I'm so grateful to everybody who came on the show and all the people who are participating. in the Zoom room, in the chat, on Facebook, and wherever you are, because you're the ones, like Scott always says about the Global Priesthood Tribe, we're the ones who've been waiting for. If we're not showing up to say, yes, I'm gonna make that commitment to love, it's not going to happen. So we're making it happen. And in the meantime, we're rocking and rolling and having songs and fun. And it's so great. So thank you so much, Scott. I am so grateful to you that you were willing to take this on, because really, I think it's such a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And it's going to continue on tomorrow. I just want to really remind everybody that we've got another great show planned tomorrow morning for our Sacred Sunday show. Continuing to really understand, what is this ascension movement? We heard from Shri and Kira that teach self-ascension. We've heard from Connie and Andrew and Pato and everybody about how we are all awakening. This is an incredible time. And somebody needs to mute, please. And so just a reminder that tomorrow we've got another amazing all-star group of people joining us. Deborah Giusti, who wrote the book on Ascension, will be back. And we've got JJ and Desiree Hertok. They are two of the most extraordinary mystical scholars. He wrote the Keys of Enoch back in the 70s. It's like one of the great classic books in esoteric literature. And we have Suzanne Ross, who's putting on this big Sedona Ascension retreat. She does it every year. Alan Steinfeld will be back with us, and Tangela. And of course, for music to help us digest, Alma Shar will be with us. So join us tomorrow on the Sacred Sunday show. And a reminder that we have now opened up registration. I've committed to doing another 3 months of the Awakening World. So we're going to definitely be doing this at least 3 times a week all the way through June 30th. And so now, for those of you who haven't registered for this season, if you registered today, you can get the links for the next 4 months. And for those of you who are in the Zoom room and registered for this season, go ahead and register now for the next season, and share it with your friends. We want to grow our Global Peace Tribe. And I know that coming together in Los Angeles is going to be amazing. Connie and Andrew will be there. Pato and Antoinette will be there. Shri and Kira will be there. Omashar will be there. Of course, I'll be there. Christy might make it down. And we've got other wonderful friends, Louisa Stowe, Nina Gray. It's just going to be an amazing time. So, okay, I am going to remove all the other spotlights and put the full focus on Fanny and Vigari, who are going to kind of close out our show with some beautiful Fanny and Vigari music. And also, any thoughts, anything you want to share after watching tonight's show and hearing the other couples? Anything comes up for you, Vigari?
Wow, so many amazing things were said, and so many insights that it's hard to follow that up. But I just want to say that for Fanny and I, it's been a wonderful adventure getting to know each other. And for me, at least, I never cease to be amazed by how courageous and how fearless she is, and how amazingly talented she is. And I just bow to in gratitude and in appreciation of that. All I can say is that we just keep on trying to be the best human beings that we can be. And that's the way I approach it.
We truly honor each other at deepest level every day in everything we do. It's such a blessed life we have. Hey Scott, do you have time to play a minute or two of the video of Sirens Dance before we do the closing song? Like you could play just a minute or two if you go in the middle of the song so people could see our baby. Since we don't have kids, this is our baby.
I'm wondering what video you're referencing?
The Sirens Dance, the first one I sent you today.
Oh, I was driving all day. I haven't even been on my email. So I will go try and find that while you're playing, and then we'll have to play it after your song.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So we're into a prayer mode to say thank you to the lovers of the world. And this is an improvisation. Let's see where it takes us after all your loving and your experience. And by the way, I just want to put this out there that I would like to marry you and to have a marriage with you under the pyramid in Ecuador with all of you guys. Let's have a global tribe marriage with Fanny and Vicari under the bamboo.
That sounds wonderful.
It does sounds
And I
wonderful.
do officiate weddings. So if you need someone to officiate,
Well, here it is, my darling. It is a dream, and let's manifest this dream for us in 2023. So let's pray on the lovers of the world.
Traveling together on this journey called life.
This journey called love.
Being together sometimes, being far away,
Sometimes.
but still together. Reaching together, learning together, breathing together,
Lifting each other up.
making what progress we can on this walk through life, on this walk through love. Knowing that love is the key. Being in touch with that touch of divinity within.
Your love is so divine. Your love is the golden light.
Having that golden resource that we can always draw upon. After all, we are spirit, first and foremost. Having this human experience.
I love you.
Sailing through on the wings of love.
With you I fly, I fly. With you I fly, I fly, I fly. I can Thank you for life. Thank you for your love. Thank you for who you truly are. Thank you for you. Thank you for me. example with our loving. We be the best of ourselves. Best
Thank you so much. It was beautiful. Fanny, I don't know what video you were referencing. I went into my email, I couldn't find anything.
What's on Facebook?
Oh,
On Facebook, I sent you this morning, the first one.
let me see if I can find
On the
it.
messenger. On the messenger.
Oh, I see here.
It's so lovely. It's a baby we created 2 years ago, and it never got really born because of COVID. So tonight I thought it would be maybe a minute or two of this love we share together that we've created.
I'm not sure how it'll play because I haven't had time to download it and embed it in my computer. I just found it now. I was driving all day to Sedona. Christy, were you wanting to do any promotion for what you have? Did you want to screen share about what you're doing with Mary Magdalene? And while you do that, I can download and embed their video.
Okay, yeah. I have to bring up my website because I thought you were going to be doing it, but I can certainly do that. But basically, I can also talk about it. My website is thegospelofmarymagdalene.info, which I'll put in the chat. And every year, for the past 13 years, we do a Magdalene Moonrise Easter celebration. And we have literally hundreds. Oh, thanks. That helps. We have hundreds of people that come, and we honor the divine feminine as equal partnership with Jesus. And it's based a lot on the Course in Miracles ideas of let's see, I guess you're sharing the screen. Oh yeah. So this year we're featuring the artists. So you saw one of Sue Ellen's Parkinson's paintings. And these are the women that are coming forward now, and they're painting the story that was suppressed about who Magdalene is. So here she is on the shores of France. She's written in Hebrew in the sand, peace, and she's got rose petals spilling out from her hand with the six-pointed flower in the honeycomb of the creativity in her alabaster jar. This speaks so much of what is the essence of our sovereign priestess women. We have over 40 sovereign priestesses that lead us. We transform the sanctuary and we make it into a live, interactive, totally heart-centered, where you're welcome to come as your divine self. And you will be loved up and embellished and anointed and blessed. We have Shiloh Sophia, who's many of you may know her divine feminine work. She's going to be there doing the red thread, but we're doing the red thread around the Trinity of the feminine Trinity, the Black Madonna, the Divine Mother, and the Shekinah, the Holy Spirit of the feminine. So it's going to be a gorgeous, and that's what I do. I love doing these sacred celebrations and whatnot. And then I'm also starting a course on March 10th. That's going to be a course about the called the Magdalene Impact, and that's about where is she in A Course in Miracles. As some people know, the Course in Miracles is all male, pretty much male gendered language. And I'll just tell you this one quick story, and then we can go to back to you, Scott. But it's hard for women to read A Course in Miracles because of all the male language and everything. And so one time I was praying and meditating. It's like, because even in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, there's a whole section that says, when those who seek him and find him, if you seek him and you find him, you'll know the kingdom of God. And I'm like, really? Him? We got to seek him? I mean, what about seeking her? Is that not possible? And I was sitting my meditation, I just let it go and I just surrendered into the meditation and I hit this really amazing sweet spot. And I completely forgot that I asked a question about helping me with understanding this hymn thing. And all of a sudden I hear this voice and it says, you tell them it's H period, I period, M period. And I said, H period, I period, M period, what is that? H is for heaven, I is for in, and M is for me. Him is heaven in me. So this is our work. We find heaven inside ourselves. And then once we connect with heaven in me, then I can share it and extend it with you. And we heard over and over, especially a lot of the women on the call today, that were talking as couples, they were saying, I had to find my own sovereign self first. I had to learn to love myself. And I had to really become the integrated divine Shakti Shiva, right? I had to become that integrated divine Shakti Shiva. And then from there, I could extend and join with another where we're both whole and complete. So blessings to all of you. You are all what's making this a better world. I know for me, I love you all. And I am so grateful. Scott, thank you so much for doing the hard work of working with the shadow with people that need that support. And many of you who are doing that. And I'm very grateful because, this is, I mean, who wants to have a crappy relationship? What people want is they want an enlightened, empowered relationship, but it's not really, we now have tools. Don't you think, Scott? We have more tools than we've ever had before.
Absolutely.
That can really help to uplift people too, so they don't have to stay stuck.
Absolutely. There's so many tools. And it's been fun for me because this is what I do all day long as I support couples on their path. And we have the tools of nonviolent communication, the tools of meditation, the tools of yoga, the tools of martial arts. And these are all ways that we can learn how to balance our energies, how to come back to love, to come back into connection.
Right.
And, as you've heard from all of our couples, even though they were spotlighted, they all talked about it. They're still working it, right? Connie and Andrew are still working it, right? After, previous, it's a constant process. Life is relationship.
But my mother never did a stitch of inner work. So what I'm observing is we're the first generation of people that have really rolled up our sleeves and have had the opportunity to really look inside and not be afraid to look inside and to get these downloads too, like Shira and talking about the downloads they were getting. It's just fabulous, So
Well, I also want to say for a moment, Christy, that I feel a little uncomfortable saying we're the first generation. I mean, who knows? It's been a big planet and a lot of history.
yeah.
But most of our ancestors were so busy, absolutely just being in survival.
Right.
So thank you to our ancestors. Thank you for the incredible sacrifices that they made, coming across the oceans, coming across the plains, fighting in wars, having 3 jobs with just a vision of a better life for their offspring. And that's us. We are that vision. And now it's our turn to pay it back to our ancestors, because we do have this incredible abundance and we have this incredible freedom. And we do have so many tools and ways that we can finally deal with the alcoholism, finally deal with the low self-esteem, finally deal with whatever your particular genetics might be, whatever your particular ancestral lineage may be. And all of us have a certain ancestral lineage that includes some hard stuff, whether it's addiction or low self-esteem, or even narcissism. We have the tools now. And that's why we have shows like this. That's why we have coaches like myself and Kamala Devi. and all the opportunities to really work on our relationships, work on each other. And that's why we wanted to do this show tonight.
And also work on a relationship for the world around us, not just between us, but the relationship of the people we meet everywhere. Yesterday, I have a little miracle story to say. I'll take a very short time. I was working as a fairy clown in a very posh, very rich a center called the Grand Tage, and there was maybe 300 adults and many little children, and I was there. The children are pure, they are pure love, pure light, and the people were sharing awards of winning their grandiose gold award. It was a beautiful event. And then I go in the bathroom and I see this little girl in the bathroom, and she's looking at herself, and then she's shaking, and she's looking at herself, and she was like going crazy, like having an attack of tension. And then I rinse and I look at her, and I didn't know. And then I looked at her again. Her body was shaking. She might have been 10 years old, and she was all by herself. And then I said, God, I'm supposed to do something. So I turned towards her and I look at her, and I embrace her. I said, may I embrace you? And then she said, oh, I cannot talk, I cannot hear, I do not talk, I do not hear. And I said, all I want is to hug you. And then I hugged her, and then I held her, and then she stopped shaking. And then I look at her and I said, let's breathe together. I said, breathe, God, breathe light. And she breathed with me. She did the breathing for 3-4 times. We breathe, and she did the same 3 times. We breathe, God, and her body stopped shaking. And then I looked at her, and she was more in harmony with herself, and you could see her eyes were clear. And then I go back to my station, and then she starts again. And then I go back, and I just wanted to give her my love again. And then I turn around, and I give her another hug and a kiss this time. And she looks toward the mirror, and then I realize that her parents are watching her. And her mom, there was 2 visions, her mom in the hospital, and the daddy was probably in the war zone, the 2 of them. And they were in a video call with her. I had no idea. And the mama looked at me, and she went like this. And the papa went like this. And the papa went like this. And he stayed like this. It really touched them that I was there for their girl, that I took the time to embrace and to have her stop shaking and being there. So for me, it was a miraculous thing that my angels talked to me and loved this little child, and knowing that she needed love this time. And the parents, who knows, in a war zone, being with their child that was here in this place of humongous richness, and they were in big suffering. So it was a beautiful experience for me to bring peace to this little one. I had tears, and we both went to the heavens. And I know I am here to inspire and to love to whoever I meet everywhere. And that's what it is. I give thanks so much to be the light onto the darkness.
Beautiful. I think that's a beautiful story for us to conclude on. It's a beautiful example, and we'll show you a video the next time around. But that was beautiful. So I'm going to just real quickly bring on all of our other guests. Thank you again, Jamishka, for being with us. There's your pupster. Thank you so much, Connie and Andrew, jumping in spontaneously. Christy, thank you for co-hosting. And I'm going to go to gallery view first to close out. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. We will have more Omashar music tomorrow morning. Never fear, Omashar is always here. And much love. It's been a beautiful night. And thank you so much for being part of the Global Peace Tribe. Love you all.